by gun violence. A 17-year-old gunned down, and the search for a killer is on.
Make it to paradise, but don't nobody want to take the time out to follow the rules and the regulations that come with it. It's selfish. The mind frame is hard-headed.
Hard-head. Hard-head.
You gon' burn.
Hard-head.
I will prick you.
Hard-head.
Hella over everything.
Hard-head.
House shot.
Hard-head. Devils in your temple, got your sins up to the ceiling. Trying to make it as in they feeling. Get up out your feelings. Get up out your feelings. Spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. It's spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. It's spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. It's spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. Wake up in the morning, hit your knees, gotta get it. Wait, I said that line already in the song, just making sure everybody feel it. They come in to vex you and to possess you. Entice you with money, my church is a store up in the kingdom, marking the spot. Can you see an X2? Spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even I don't need a landscaper to keep the grass cut low just to see a snake rattle. I rep every single thing I rack. You just wanna babble. When I turn around, they talking about me. That's backwards. We ain't playing Scrabble. Let's talk bread. You know the devil got a hard head. On the road to heaven, you be outside of Yah's will. Bike pigs, run out the world, know the things in it. My bruise looking for the authentic. Fake Jews still pointing fingers, pop them off like nails. That's acrylic, but enough for them. Got a bunch of script for the toughest sin. Let's bring them in. Satan trying to sift us as wheat. Get converted while your brother weak. Strengthen him. Let's be sober doing every hour. Your adversary, Hasatan, walk around as a royal lion, seeking who he may devour. Amen. Amen. The Bruce hit her back on this two-step. I move like a T-Rex. I'm on point like an index. My right hand defend me, a hyper-extended. You cover yours with the latex. Matthew 5:30, I use the scriptures. My past keep chasing me bad. Run to the kingdom. Allison Felix. Spiritual battle. Y'all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. It's spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. It's spiritual battle. We all had Garden of Eden moments like even Adam. Gang. Hard head, 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 hard head. Oh yeah. Know some people that's dead. Know some people that's dead. Know some people alive. A lot of people alive. A lot of family and friends. A whole lot of family and friends. Still being led by the blind. Hey, they super plain Jane. Boy, the swag gon' right. Armor of Elohim. Demons can't copyright. All this wisdom in my teeth, but I don't backbite. Spirit in me like a flute. I'ma blow through the pipes. Left the Babel Tower. United with Yahweh. Yeah, hallelujah for saving me every hour. I'ma flourish, blossom. I feel like a flower. Even though they throwing shade like plant bowers. Bread tape.
Well, sort of like a biscuit. Only difference is it didn't rise when I fixed it. I love the way we feast when it's you in 11. If you don't and you sin, then you in 11. I'm too straight in this truth, like the number 11. But that digit after that is what I be repping. Yeah. 12 tribes, 12 gates in heaven, one foot in, one foot out. That boy half stepping. Hey, we don't need no strife. We can make it right. All that pride got you swelling up. He gon' need some ice. To paradise, gamble with your life. I'm just trying to keep the laws right and get to paradise. That's the heaven life. Israelnoww, bearing fruit and it's right. Then the sun shine on that fruit, we call it limelight. Plant a seed, Elohim gonna water something tonight. Put 1,000 in flight. That's a high ticket price. The wages of sin is death. I just looked at your check. Lake of Fire is the only place you're cashing it at. Gotta fish them from that burning lake, bass in the net. I've been chosen since cradles and bassinets. Hold on. Brief in the mission, man on the mission. I feel like Solomon before he took the women. Men are revilers, women are contentious. Spirit of man is a candle, let the burn continue. Knock, knock on the door, who is it? Unclean spirit, strong man in the house. Won't let nobody enter. Tassel gang, Torah strong. Equals nation building. Working out my salvation on this earth. A few names to mention, a mission full of men. Shout out to Isaac, Jacob, them, and Abraham. Yeah. I am just a man on a mission. Yeah, I was shy. He was just a man on a mission. Yeah, we are just men on a mission. King David, he was just a man on a mission. Moshe was just a man on a mission. Yeah, we are just men on a mission. Yeah, we are just men on a mission. Yeah, we are just men on a yeah. It's a prayer take. Yeah. No pledge zone, no pledge zone. We know better. I'm sick of this land. I'm about to throw up. I won't return to my vomit. Just got done looking at the motherland. Yeah, it's still surrounded by violence. You worship gods of wood and stone. America impregnated by the foulest. We need to demonstrate. Separate. They gonna come and continue to defile us. No care on who the president. They all puppets doing Satan tricks. Roaming around with the Pope who call himself God on earth. Blasphemous, it's evident. You have no benevolence. Can't wait till you're desolate. You're burning the lake, definite. Everything you did had definite. Religion is spiritual torture. We drawing the line like Crayola. I never lose my composure. Just got that weight off my shoulders. I'm mourning, so give me a moment and holler at me in the morning. I'm leaning on the rock I stand. Yahweh continue to hold them. We are the Hebrews, the one who crossed over. Basketball, narrow passages, crossed the Euphrates and the Red Sea. Crossed over Jordan, Iverson poster. You know the story has a moral. His link with the people that's chosen. We are just mortal, taking the pledge or agreement to gain the whole world. You took on America, I never take a play. When it comes down to this wicked world, I never take a play. They follow me and I told them I never take a play. Come my hand off and told America I never take a play. When it comes down to this wicked world, I never take a play. Even when times get hard and harder, I never take a play. They said follow me and I told them I never take a play. Chill. I never take that play. Your heart was covered in. It's the only thing I'm covered in, so no, I don't mean. This is very vital. These scriptures, my vitamins. My sister's height is strong as a titan. I'm slicing sin. Yeah. Now who are you working for? If I look in the window of your soul, you would already
counter of. Who can amount to us? No devil or nation can match us. So why would I cop a plea when I can cop a key to the gates of kings? Only doubt is what man offered me. Testimony of Solomon, you better read that. I'm on speaker fast. Prayers and worship the enemy. You can keep that. I got an evac. I'm about to get pound to the speed stack. Out back where I hang my enemies at. Ain't a mountain you can offer that'll beat my inches. We'll never
Come on, hand off and told America.
I never take a play.
When it comes down to this wicked world,
I never take a play.
even when times get hard and harder,
I never take a play.
Satan said, follow me, and I told him.
I never take a play.
Come on, hand off and told America.
I never take a play.
When it comes down to this wicked world,
I never take a play.
even when times get hard and harder,
I never take a play.
Satan said, follow me, and I told him.
I never take a play. Chill.
Let's do it.
No pad, no pencil, no phone, no scriptures, no nothing. Just the spirit. Because we walk by faith and not by sight. Well, all right. Yeah. This is off the dome like Katrina. We let the song cry cause it sound better when she's singing, yeah. And I hope this reach a dome like Katrina. Let the song cry cause it sound better when she's singing, yeah.
No sight.
Let the song when she's singing, yeah.
No sight.
Let the song cry cause it sound better when she's
I'm from
singing,
a
yeah.
block where killing's a sport, and the cops getting shipped to resorts. Find a way to abort, but when you get pulled over at night, ain't no telling if you gon' make it back to your porch. Wait, chip off the old block, to face the tough road, beard stubbles. Father, I know you see us, send your son to redeem us with an all-white garment like it came from the cleaners. I'm on track like the locomotive with the smoke, so I'ma train up a child in the way that he should go. Wait, this is off the dome like Katrina. We let the song cry cause it sound better when she's singing, yeah? And my sister got killed that night, but if you heard her, it ain't sound good when she was screaming, yeah? And my brother locked up doing life, and I hope he can find the scripture so he can try to glean it, yeah? You know knowledge is wealth, but you can't find these things in yourself. Gotta open the scriptures, listen to every Yahweh. I'm just praying that your people feel it. Hold on, we still freestyling, by the way, look. Keanu Reeves, mission complete. I eat the bread, I eat the meat, but I'm a vegan. You bring the grease, we face the east. When we feast, that's a city of peace. LL Cool J, you just in too deep. I got a rob, got the fish from off the block at least. They put stripes on my people like Adidas, sheesh. But I'm mentally free, yeah.
All right, cool. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Y'all sound kind of dead. Shabbat shalom, Israel. That's a little better. Yeah. I know it's raining, but you know what I mean? We got to be in high spirits on the Sabbath. Every Sabbath, be in high spirits. Most High woke us up again to see another day. See another week. We in the land of the living. We can make it right with the Almighty. The Almighty offered us salvation, eternal life, and an everlasting kingdom. We can make it to. But even while we here, we're gonna make the best of this life as well in every single way. You know what I mean? Wish blessings upon each and every one of y'all, each and every one of the Most High's people. Continue to do right. And the eyes of the Most High, continue to pray about whatever you're going through, whether it's family issues, job issues, whatever it is, and the Most High show up. We don't have an Elohim that's far away from us, but an Elohim that is near unto us. What separates us from the Almighty is our sins. So if you keeping these commandments, you should be able to talk to the Most High like you talking to your own father. When you grew up in a house, you could go to him at any time, right? Because he's just there. He right in the next room, or he right downstairs in the living room, or he not far away, right? Or your mother, for those that, grew up with a father, mother, got two parents, right? You got the same thing in the Almighty. Yahweh, we know what that means. So the Almighty's not far away. But when you start to sin and your spirit convicts you and you keep doing the same thing and your spirit convicts you again and you know it's wrong, you keep on doing it, then the Most High is far away. Then when you cry out, the Most High not going to hear you. But as long as you're doing right, and as long as you diligently striving to do right, it could be anything. Driving in the car, you worried about something. Talk to the Almighty about it right then and there. At any given time, nobody else to talk to. You know what I mean? Talk to the Almighty about it. Even if it is somebody else to talk to, when you get your time alone, you got to spend time with the Almighty. That's going to be the change in your life. I heard somebody say one time, you could be going through depression, you could be going through anything. When you focus on the work of the Almighty and what the Almighty calls you to do, everything go away. Because you so wrapped up into pleasing the Most High and your purpose in life. That's what we got to be. Be about your purpose. Be wrapped up into that. But let's go ahead and get started for today. Anything before we get going? All right, cool. So let's rise, face Jerusalem for the blowing of the shofar and prayer. Cool. 7 times. One.
Hallelujah. All man's clear, all hearts clear. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Yekudesh Shimka, the Ba, Malak Watak, Yashar, Rajvanak Ashar, Ba Shemayim, Gam, Bada Eretz, Ath Lachem, Chekanawa, Thanlunawa, Hayawam, Wachalanawa, all Chabathiyanawa, Kashar, Machalanawa, Gam, Achanawa, Lachiyatlanawa, Wall, Tabathiyanawa, Ladai, Nasawam, Kai, the Chach Lanawa, Man, Hara, Ka, Laka, Hamam Laka, Wadagabara, Was the Parth, La Olami, Owalamim. Everybody repeat after me. Yahweh, which art in heaven, set apart is your name. Thy kingdom come, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but Mother, deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Almighty Yahweh, we just give you thanks once again
as we completed the prayer that was given by the Messiah in the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter. We just give you thanks, honor, and glory, and lift your name up on high. As this day is already special unto us, it's even more special and even more holy and sanctified unto the people that are giving credence to this day. We just give a special shout out to your servants, Yoseph and KeziYah, for they enter into 23 years of marriage. And we pray that your hand is governed over their marriage. And as I stated when I walked in, 100 more anniversary days to come for them. So we can't say this. We can't. I'm over here, y'all. I'm my heart, y'all. My heart. Just bear with me, my heart, because I'm excited today about just everything that's going on. But we can't thank you enough, Yahweh. We can't, just lift your name up on high, much more than we already have. We just give you thanks for all of the marriages that's gone forth over the years, especially within Israelnoww. So we just give you thanks for all of these things that you've given us. And we lift your name up on high. And with that, we say hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah. My bad, y'all, man. I'm over here, man. It's so special, man. Just thinking about it, like I'm excited. And Yoseph and KeziYah, 23 years of marriage, man. Like that's something that we all should be seeking for. You know what I mean? I'm seeking for right after y'all. Like y'all a great example as well as y'all too. And we have who's up and coming right now. We got Vok and Yane. The bar. So imagine that. Like, the examples that y'all are giving them, to follow up on and different things of that nature. And as it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth. So we got Yah and Y as the leading example. And then we got here, people on earth that's also leading each other. So, man, it's just a beautiful thing. So, with me getting caught up on my words, it's just me more so just being excited and not being able to really explain how this is. You know what I mean? So everybody just continue, man. Give them a shout out, man. Lift up some praises for them, y'all. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's real special thing, man. So yeah, that's what I have. Cool. Yeah, these flies up here too. They was definitely in my nose while I was praying too.
I want to land back on top of that. So what's good about that is that I remember, I don't remember, maybe 2 years ago, somewhere in there, probably around the time we first moved to the new building or so. And I made that statement, like, we got to have good times and a bunch of marriages and this and that, things like that. Within the past, 2 years, 2.5 years, we done had a total of 6 marriages. I'm counting the ones that had already got married and the ones that's about to get married in the next, 3 months. Like, that's a lot in one congregation. You know what I mean? One city outside, 6 marriages in that time. I actually count next year, it's going to be 7. 7 marriages within a 3-year time span. You know what I mean? That's good. That's real good. That's real good.
7?
Yeah, because I counted. It's I think it started with Freddie and Julia. Then we got RDI and Tahar. Frankie.
Right.
I said Freddie. Frankie and Julia, RDI and Tahar, and Dre and Janelle, and then Elisa and Simone. They just got married last week. It was just private.
Yeah, they snuck it in.
Yeah,
snuck that one in.
And that's for. Oh yeah, right. Couple from Dayton, that's 5, and then the rest about to get married. The bar, your name about to get married, that's gonna make 6.
Well, you missed another one.
Which one?
A couple more snuck in on us too. They ain't here. They ain't trying to say nothing. All y'all looking back like Kim.
Oh yeah.
Kim and Dee.
That's what I was gonna say. They was before 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They was before that. Yeah.
Include them.
Yeah.
Include them too, though. They was the start of it.
Right.
They was the start.
And of course we got Sister Nita and her husband, and then Ryan and the wife will be next year, and then
you got Rayvon and Kenya.
Rayvon and Kenya. Yeah, yep. That's gonna be, yep. Yeah, Ronnie Kenya. And I'm missing one.
Yeah, Island Boy.
So it's 8 actually. And I'm missing one more. Hold on, which one I'm missing? Am I missing one? I think I'm missing one. Said y'all said sister need to know. I don't know, but that's like 7-8 marriages in a 2-year span. That's a good thing. That's real good. So let's continue to do this thing, continue to make this stuff work, continue to, you know what I mean? Because families is built by nations and nations. You know what I'm saying? You get a family, you start, then you get a community, you get a nation. Everything got to be strong. So we got to continue to build our family strong. And we all got to recognize that, listen, we were growing up in America and we didn't see a lot of this stuff, right? So we got to renew our mind with everything that we're doing and everything we learn. The same thing you did in the other scriptures. The same way you stopped eating pork when those that used to eat pork and started keeping the dietary law.
Right.
The same way you used to didn't keep the Sabbath and started keeping it. The same way you used to keep Easter and now you realize, oh, let me keep Passover in the springtime. We got to do our marriages and our relationships the exact same way. It's a learning curve. Like you don't get to 20-some years without learning stuff, learning your partner, and learning different things on how to move as a man and different things like that. And as a woman, it takes time. You know what I'm saying? And it's not when you're in this truth. It's not when you was in the world. When you was in the world, you'll have a girlfriend. You get mad at her. She get mad at you. You go about your business. And then you go get another girlfriend. It's not like that in this truth, right? We adhere to the covenants, the agreements, and the vows that we made, right? So before you make them, you got to get to know this person, right? Don't make vows to a person that you barely know. Spend time and get to know each other first, and then say, yeah, I know this person, so I'm ready to go forward to the next step, right? A word of advice. If you really want to know if a person like you and you like them, it's going to work out, don't lay together. And see if it lasts a whole year and y'all don't lay together. If we still around a whole year later, y'all never lay together, then he really like you, right? And then if something go wrong, it don't matter. It ain't no sin. It's just, hey, we was getting to know each other. It didn't work out. We wasn't compatible. So you could move on. He could move on. She could move on, and everything too. Everything. All you did was get to know each other and attempt to see if this the right person that I should marry, right? But once you start laying together and then you do it, now here, all the stuff, you know what I mean? Now all the this and that, all the counseling says, all the this and that, that's where all the trouble comes. Just don't do that. And just get to know each other. Once you get to know each other, hey, you get married. What Paul said, the marriage bed is undefiled. Y'all do whatever y'all want to do, whenever y'all want to do it. Nobody got nothing to say. Because it's righteous. It's under the eyes of the Most High. So just wait till that time. So that's my advice. All right, y'all. Well, let's just get rolling with the 10 Commandments and then the law portion. Y'all see we got on the board is New Moon. Don't forget about New Moon. It's actually this coming Monday, 17th. 8 p.m. Yeah, the months go by fast. The months go by pretty quick. So
Yeah, it seemed like we was just in here.
yeah, the little 30 days or 29, whichever one this month was pretty quick. So we in Exodus, the 20th chapter. We're gonna read the 10 Commandments and then go right into the law portion for this week. Exodus chapter 20, beginning at verse number 1. Y'all ready? And Elohim spake all these words, saying,
I am Yahweh thy Elohim, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
thou shalt have no other Elohim before me.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh thy Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
Showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh thy Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
But the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee.
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not steal.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Hallelujah. Law portion. Where we at? Deuteronomy 15th chapter.
15. Hey, do y'all be reading, like, do y'all ever take the time to read the scriptures and other, like, translations? Or what's some of y'all, like, best translations? Or some of the go-tos? You don't like none of them? Well, what you was about to say, huh?
I like the CEV. I feel like certain scripts we bring out, it might try to point home a little clearer.
Yeah.
CEV.
CEV.
What's CEV?
I ain't never.
Cincinnati Episcopal version.
Cincinnati Educational version.
That's the one he wrote.
I'm gonna say it's like
ESV is good.
It is an ESV. I know about ESV.
It's an ESV though.
Yeah.
no, not the English standard.
Told you I was the one he wrote.
Yeah.
The Book of Will.
Got his picture in the back like
It's
this.
the contemporary English version.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it's not the CEV then. It's not CEV. That wasn't the right acronym.
Yeah, CEV,
Oh, it's
contemporary English version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Contemporary spelled with a C.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I just thought to ask because I'm like, you know, sometimes the King James be tripping a lot of people up in certain places, like, you know, but
But that's the reason I said a lot of the other versions is trash because they be even worse. Like, cause it be super watered down. And like right there, like some things you can get, and like it, like he said, it try to point home, but some things it just like far left. Like,
Yeah.
that is not it.
right. Yeah, I can see that. All right, so we got what, 23 verses?
Yep.
All right, I'll do the first 11, 12.
That's cool.
All right, cool. So Devarim 15 and verse 1, at the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called Yahweh's release. Of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again, but that which is thine with thy brother, thine hand shall release. Save or except when there shall be no poor among you, for Yahweh shall greatly bless thee in the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day. For Yahweh thy Elohim blesses thee, and he promised thee that thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land, which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother, but thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend unto him sufficient for his need in that which he wanted. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, here we go, The 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cry unto Yahweh against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Verse 10, thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that which this thing Yahweh thy Elohim shall bless thee in all thy works, and in all that thou puttest thy hand unto, puttest thy hand unto. Verse 11, for the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thine hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor, and to thy needy in the land. Verse 12, and if thy brother, an Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let him go free from thee.
Verse 13, and when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, of that wherewith Yahweh thy Elohim hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh thy Elohim redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this day to this thing to do. And it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee, and thine house, because he is well with thee, thou shalt take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise. It shall not seem hard unto thee when thou sendest him away free from thee. For if he have been worth a double hire servant to thee, and serving thee 6 years, Yahweh thy Elohim shall bless thee in all that thou doest. All the firstling males that come of thy herd and of thy flock thou shalt sanctify unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt do no work with the firstling of thy bullock, nor shear the firstling of thy sheep. Thou shalt eat it before Yahweh thy Elohim year by year, in the place which Yahweh shall choose, and thou and thy household. And if there be a blemish therein, as it is a lame, or blind, or have any ill blemish, thou shalt not sacrifice it unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt eat it within thy gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the roebuck and as of the hart. Only thou shalt not eat of the blood thereof. Thou shalt pour it upon the ground as water. Deuteronomy 15. What we got? Any questions, any comments, anything y'all see you want to point out here? Sister Nephew, we go to you first.
What is Shabbat Shalom? Yeah, Shabbat. What is I don't know how you say it. What is?
Oh,
I'm thinking like toothpick.
where? Hold on, where? Oh, you talking about AWL? AUL is how they spell
He
it.
said if they want to stay, because they say they, like being there, love you, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like what them children do.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it's an instrument that will go in your ear. So the piercing is one thing, and then the awl is the actual thing that will go in there to indicate who your servant is.
So is it like they already? No, did they already have a piercing? Because it's like
they would actually do the piercing and then put the awl in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, all in one.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was like, "Dude, what now? You put what through there?"
And guess what? This clarifies the whole thing about ear piercing, right? If it's so much of a sin, why is he commanding you to do it to your servant? We just do it for style points, you know what I mean, in the Western realm. But yeah, it's almost like the Almighty, like, don't eat pork, but when in doubt, you lose faith, you get hungry, go eat that pig over there. Right? Yeah.
I got one more thing. Oh, when it says to release your slave in 7 years, and I've heard, through the years of how they went too far when it came to us. This seemed like the prime example. Like they didn't give us nothing. You know what I mean? After the 7 years came, it was more than 7. You know what I mean? They didn't do none of this. None of this. Huh? 2 times? Oh, I don't know.
We went through chattel.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Through chattel slavery.
So what particular?
This was servitude.
Just
It wasn't like
servitude.
slavery, what we
Oh,
think
okay.
of.
Because they still had the rest on the side, like
Oh,
rested.
so they while we was on some
And you get released with
yeah,
flock and
yeah.
all of that. Like,
So is this the type of slavery you help meant?
Yes.
Yup.
Okay.
Meaning which time though?
They went on.
When you say if this the type the Almighty meant, meaning which time? In Deuteronomy 28 or right here where we read?
28, like when you said.
Not in 28.
Oh yeah, nah.
Yeah, exactly. Deuteronomy 28, he meant chattel slave. He meant what our ancestors went through in America. So yeah, let's just clarify the whole thing. So people will say things like, so just because it uses the word slavery and slave or servant and things like that, servants in the scriptures, and Americans can only relate that word to what our ancestors went through in slavery in America. You know, that's why people will say things like, you'll hear people say that try to go against the scriptures. They could be in Egyptology. They could be in the so-called Old Testament only. And they'll say things about the scriptures to say, well, it advocates slavery in the so-called New Testament. It says, slaves obey your master, right? And they just throw the whole context right out the window of how slave was used all through the scriptures, right? Is it evil to say, if you have a job, to obey what your supervisor say to do? Is that evil? That's not evil. A lot of times, if you don't, you're gonna get hurt. Especially you dealing construction, all type of stuff. You need to obey these rules. They for your own safety. They for the production of the company to make everything right. That's the type of slave or slavery in the scriptures. Like you're a worker, right? You don't go to work. They don't beat you and all this different stuff. They ain't put whips on your back and all that different stuff. That's what slavery is in the scriptures when our ancestors had slaves. They had people that worked for them, and in turn, they got paid, right? It just wasn't a weekly pay. It wasn't a bi-weekly. After 6 years, you get all your stuff, and now you can go free and you can have your own stuff. And maybe even if you work it right, maybe you have your own servant after 6 years. But in America, just because they coined the term slave or slavery, that's totally different. That was inhumane. That was the worst atrocity you could put on the people, right? You know, we know everything they did to us. You get raped, you get beat, you get tortured, robbed, you get your children taken from you. They say who you gonna lay with just to have another baby, so that baby gonna be slave. They'll sell your children to somebody else in a whole nother state. You know what I mean? They'll do all type of stuff to you. So these are not the same thing. And so when the scriptures in the so-called New Testament says slaves obey your master, that's exactly what it meant. When you go back to here and you see what type of slavery we had, like, yeah, if you're going to work for me for 6 years, you need to obey. I need them cows moved over here to here. You know what I mean? How's that evil? So people that don't know the scriptures, they come and be like, see, it say slaves obey your master. So you mean to tell me 200-300 years ago that I should obey this white man that's raping my wife and beating me and this to an inch of my life? Absolutely not. Because the same book tells you what? If you hit your slave, then he get to go free. You ain't supposed to hit him across the cheek, let alone tarring and feathering them and ripping their legs apart and all that stuff, let alone that just for a hit, a punch, a slap, he get to go free. So it's people that don't know the scriptures, that don't know all but and just looking to tear it down in every way. And Most High had people like us to rise up and defend this word and defend the real truth, right? So the Most High never condoned that type of stuff. You know what I mean? In our culture, that wasn't what we did. That's why when some Israelite brothers say that these other nations are going to be our slaves in the kingdom, they are going to be our slaves in the kingdom. But they're going to be this type of slavery that we're reading here. They're going to be working for us. We're going to be the nation that's over the other nation. We're not going to be raping their women. We're not going to be killing their babies like for no reason. We're not, you know what I mean? The law will be set up to where people will die for unrighteous things that they did, but we're not just doing what they did to us. We're not just like, oh, I see you that color, kill them for no reason. We're not doing that, right? That was never the Almighty's program. So we just making a discrepancy from what's what. Will they serve our people? Absolutely. We have many scriptures to say it, that they're going to serve us in righteousness, right? We're going to be righteous rulers, just like if you got a job and you feel like my job treat me good, they treat me fair, they pay me a fair wage, I do my job, everybody, it's going to be like that. You know what I'm saying? But we will be the number one nation at that time. Just to clarify. Hallelujah. So we're going to move on to current events. If anybody have anything, we'll go to y'all for current events. Since you got something already. Sister Didi, y'all can handle it. Oh, she already got the mic. Go ahead, sister.
So I was filling out some paperwork, and they didn't change on the legal paperwork from mother and father to birthing parent and non-birthing parent. Yep. Wow. They are up for debate on whether or not they're going to change the names of the anatomy, penis and vagina. Not the penis, the vagina to bonus hole.
Bonus?
Bonus hole.
I thought it was birthing.
Not bonus.
Like a bonus.
What?
Just some
And
extra.
then it's in addition to people who are born with that.
Hey, hold on. That's the only comment you can say about that. You can just laugh at that and be like, hey, the Most High ain't lied. We gonna be in Babylon, and you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Go ahead, sis.
They're doing that with like everything. Like they're no longer they're going to put it into effect to no longer call it maternity leave. It'll be parental leave. And you know, fathers can obviously qualify for it too. But the laws will be different. Like the women can get 6 to 14, while the men can get 2 to 4.
Hey, I'm with that part. They've been doing that though in other countries. Yeah. You have a baby as a man too. You want to be at home and spend time with your child.
Right.
Too. Yeah.
But like
they're doing that in Canada.
They're doing it the way that it's going to be set up. Like if you you don't have to like give birth or be like a birth parent. You can like adopt a newborn baby
and go on leave.
Go on leave to like raise them for a certain period of time.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, my personal opinion, I'm with that part.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then,
like, hold on, is it paid?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
FMLA.
Yeah.
You get it for adopted children.
Right. Yeah, my wife was getting FMLA. Yeah, I needed 2 though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
A double.
Man want to be there, see his baby too. So yeah, it's all good.
So over in India, I think we talked about this when it like first, when they first like considered it. So they recently did a, I don't want to call it a study. It's not a study. But what they're doing is they're doing womb transfers. So they allow a woman to carry a baby for 3 months. Then they pretty much like give her a C-section.
That's crazy.
Take her sac, baby, and everything in it, and transfer it into a transgender male. And the most recent one that they did, the baby survived in this other person's body for 2 whole months. Before the baby passed. So
you got a little stillborn in him.
So now they are, you know, they're obviously like trying to see, you know, what went wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But with the next part of the study, they're going to do it with 3 more transgender males and see
Yeah.
what can happen. But the overall goal is to make it so that transgender males can have babies.
So right now they in a experimental form of it.
Yeah.
And all of it's gonna fail. They probably just gonna keep trying to go up by the months. Like, okay, 3 months didn't work, 5 months didn't work. You putting a whole adult in somebody's stomach after that, like.
And it's like they can't, like, even if you give them a vagina, they can't give birth.
Right.
So they're slicing them open, and then, you know, they're gonna do a whole nother C-section.
Exactly.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Like our bodies don't contract. You know what I mean? Our bodies don't naturally. It's
And
not
that's
naturally
where it
made
failed,
to do any.
like-
Yeah, that's crazy.
They don't release the hormones.
That is supposed to. Right.
But they're giving them
Yeah, that's crazy, man. This place need to burn up. Smithereens.
First of all, why they doing all that? I'm with you, sis. Remember what you put up earlier? If they could do all this transgender stuff, then why can't you do what you call it? Transfinancial. I seen her Facebook post. Like, yeah, if a man can say a woman and a woman can say she a man, she said, I'm a trans millionaire. And then she said, I need the banks and the government to agree with me too. I'll walk into the bank, or it's gonna be discrimination. Like, hey, you're discriminating against it. It should be $10 million in my account, because that's literally what they're doing. They telling grown men that tomorrow you could say you a woman. You got a full beard, you've been a man your whole life, but tomorrow you can say I'm a woman, and everybody gotta agree with this. And if you don't agree, then it's like something wrong with you. Like, you discriminated against me. Okay, well, put that $10 million in my bank, or you discriminated again. That's the same thing. Remember that one lady came back and said, remember the lady that was the head of NAACP, and they found out she was really white. And now she using that. She came back to say, well, like, I feel like I'm black. And they try to tell, like, nah, you can't do that. Why can't she do that? If a man can feel like he a woman and y'all roll with it, and a woman can feel like she a man and y'all roll with it, why can't she say, I feel like I'm black?
You know why? I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because then black, they gotta acknowledge if black people say that they white. Hey, you can't treat me like this. I'm white.
Hey, that's real.
Right.
All right, sis. You next. Go ahead.
Hey, Yoseph said they.
Okay, so I don't know. I missed this one, but it happened in January. So JP Morgan to pilot biometric-based payments for merchants. And it's a biometric-based payment pilot. Includes palm and face identification for payments, authentication in store, and works on an I don't know what they put there. Enroll capture, authentication, Bay Paces. It's global biometric payment.
Hey, sis, where you reading this from again? Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna put it in the okay. Is there here? Get this one.
It didn't want me to make it. Okay. It would when I start talking about
Biometrics, bio shut it down.
Yep. Need the batteries. More battery back on the charge. Yeah.
Let's see. So you know they want to hand and face biometric, you know, and you know JP Morgan, that's Chase Bank. So you know they own a whole bunch of stuff. You know they along with the mess. But they are. It says 5.8 trillion and 38 users by 2026, according to Google Intelligence. So that's one. And then there's another one. Okay, so SDG. I can post this in there in the group too. September. Okay, so they doing something around close to the Feast of Trumpets. They're having the World Health Organization. They having their it's a summit in 2023. But I forgot. I read it earlier, but I forgot what all it was entailing. But I believe it has something to do with the biometrics and whatever else they were doing. But I'll post the article in the group too. And also I seen something else where they were saying it's this guy named Richard Warner. They claim he doesn't work for the World Economic Forum because the people are putting out that he said it, but he said he doesn't work for him about the CBDC, the centralized bank and digital currency. They want it to come with the chip, like the physical chip, and you can't buy or sell without it. Like if you gotta implant it. So that's another one. And that's all I got so far.
Cool. Let me hit y'all with some quick fun facts, right? Concerning reparations. So I want to say as of the early 90s, there went out a statistic that over $55 trillion went out to reparations, or went out within reparations. Anybody familiar with that number? All right, so I'm gonna go through these history of reparation payments. So 1990, the USA received 1.6 billion, and it says they gave 20,000 each unto every Japanese American. In the same year, 25
that was for that bomb, right? That they dropped. What that for?
Well, it's not telling why, but I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
Australia, it says 25 million to Holocaust survivors. It says Canada in 1988, 250,000 square miles of land to the Indian and Eskimos. In the same year, in 1988, 230 million to the Japanese Canadians. In 1986, so the list goes on and on, all the way to like the 1950s, where it says 822 million to Holocaust survivors, to the German Jewish settlement. And then, of course, outside of all of these ethnic groups that receive either land or money or both, the so-called African American, zero. From the time that they started to give the money out, even until now. So this is one of their arguments as to why they are in debt as well. But it's like, if y'all are so-called in debt, all of these trillions of dollars and whatnot, and y'all gave 55 billion in reparation, can we get something? Right? Can we get something? But of course we won't get it. What Mike Epps say, I need my 40 acres and a pit bull. I mean, but yeah, man, just a couple of little fun facts on the statistics. And this is all screenshot. I got it from a documentary I was watching. And it also has, like, in the link, where you can go and actually see everything, like as far as like why and all of that. So yeah, it's something that I can post in the group as well. I had somebody post in the group. So
sounds good. Anybody else for current events? Now you got something?
Earlier today, I think it was Kenanaya, he had put something in the messenger group, but it's about a girl who went missing. I don't know exactly where she lives at, but I think it's Hoover. Hoover, Alabama. Okay, yep. But she's 25 years old, and on July 13th, she went missing around 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And she was abducted in the Hoover area. Basically, she seen like a 3-year-old little child out on the expressway, and she called the police for help, and I guess she stopped to help, and now she's gone too. But it just keeps being like strange things like that. Like people really do need to be aware and alert. Last night when we were headed back, when I was driving my mom back home, it was midnight. We was on Hollywood. There was a car with the lights on, pulled off to the side, where the lady just laid out on the grass, like on a little sidewalk. And it makes you want to stop to say, "Are you okay?" But it's so sad you cannot do that. So kept going, and when I went backwards to go back home, I'm thinking like if I still see her, then I'm not gonna stop, but I'll at least call the police so they could check it out. She wasn't there, but it was this man standing up outside the car. So just be careful. Like it's a lot going on with human. It's always been a lot for the past, 10 years with human trafficking and abductions and things like that. And I think I seen something, Sanai sent me something where like if you look at there's really national hotels that are being sued now for participating in human trafficking and having tunnels and different things that are built in and not reporting it, and they're involved in it. And I know for sure that it's true because we've witnessed some things ourselves. So you just got to be really on alert and aware that human trafficking is real. They take people, take them out the country for different things, or use them in the country, use organs too. It's a lot. People want to live forever, so they'll do anything by any means necessary to continue that on, to reap those organs so that they can continue their life. So I just wanted to bring that out. And then in reference to what we were talking about as far as like what Janae brought out as far as all the work that's being done basically to make a man be able to give life. I just want us to think about what we can do. Of course, we know following the commandments, but like what we can do to make sure that that doesn't become a norm, like even if they ultimately give life or not, but the amount of homosexuality that is around and is occurring. And when you look at youth and how normalized it is, like things that can be done to make sure that they recognize that is not like normal, it's not righteous, it's not right. Because we're at a point where children are growing up in a world where this stuff looks really, really normal to them. And we look crazy, but we look like we're being homophobic and all kind of stuff by just talking about, natural process of things. So making sure that we are really on purpose about like inflicting a culture that represents the Most High, because it is contagious and it's crazy. And I know, last week we talked a lot about like relationships, women and men and stuff like that, but like really putting a lot of importance there, because the way the battle that they have us have between men and women even, and that we fight against ourselves, modern women and all of this stuff, it takes the focus away of, like what the Most High really intended things to be like and intended us to be. And then you got a group and a culture of youth growing up and battling themselves, where you see why it becomes very easy for a person to turn to whoever is accepting of them. If that is, another group of lesbians or, whatever it is, like these people are accepting and they showing love to me. So it's easy for me to go that way. So it's just, I feel like we do need to put focus and emphasis on that to make sure that our youth understand, because it has to be more than just talking and bringing it out, because they're living in it. So
yeah. Hey, before you go, to echo that, right, it's important to give our children environmental awareness as well. Like, get the headphones out your ear, get out of them phones. And I'm not
so much against not putting our children on like public transportation or, you know, setting up Uber and Lyft accounts and stuff like I know people, adult men and women, they got accounts where, or their children got, you know, way where they catch Ubers, and these kids is every bit of like 12, 13 years old. And it's like, how can you put your child in the hands of a stranger like that? When we heard stories about how these Uber drivers was doing stuff to, you know, young women and different things of that nature. Even this, and then I'm handing it to you after this, Will. There was a situation where I guess it was a chick. She it's something called Uber Black. Y'all familiar with that?
Yeah.
So this chick would catch like Uber through Uber Black or whatnot.
Uber Black just mean you want to ride in a better car.
Yeah, it's like
so you pay more money. It's gonna be a luxury car. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But she her preference was tinted windows. Like all of her cars had to be dark tint. And here's the thing though, is that she got in an Uber at the wrong time at the wrong place. These individuals shot the Uber car up like 20, 30 some times looking for her. And it's like her protection was not fortified because she's not a commandment keeper. You know what I mean? There's different things of that. I think she was like a stripper, some more stuff, right? Yeah. But she was out here like getting over on people, and they caught back up with her. But anyway, it's like that's why it's important that we gotta, you know, instill these commandments in our children as well as us. Be able to obtain the spirit so our life can be fortified, but also just have wisdom, you know what I mean, and construct the things that our ancestors taught us. Like we didn't grow up with cell phones, like for most of us in this room, headphones and stuff like that, walking up and down the street. In our times was a little bit better, but it's the fact that the age we living in now, you gotta be on guard, you gotta be aware. And like I said, if you are a parent that don't want your kid to get on the bus, you ain't pacifying them. You ain't making them what they would say like privileged kids. You protecting them, because these times we living in, I'm telling you, you'll send your kid off on that bus and not see them again, and think, oh man, when I grew up, nah, they can find out how to work and move forward without getting on, you know what I mean, a bus and stuff. Like, you know, some people would be like, that's a sign of laziness. You get dropped off everywhere. Not in this era. Things change. So just throwing that out there, you know what I mean, trying to make some sense out of all of this. And I think even the paths of righteousness and, you know, stuff like that, that we've been talking about, just doing for our children and stuff like that, man, it's going to be real good. But like you said, we got to put that work in too, and not just talk about it, but be about it.
That's good. And to land back on that, like, so I was watching something on TikTok and they were talking about the youth, and they were talking about how like a lot of kids who are walking in Israel have an uphill climb because they are in these public schools and they're fighting against that spirit of homosexuality. And there was this lady in New York who quit her job. She was working in corporate America, making good money. She quit her job and opened up her own school. She's Israel, opened up her own school. And she was just saying how like it was the best thing she could have ever did. And so it's like, I just, not only for our sisters, but everybody who's listening online, like I encourage one of the sisters or even a brother or some sisters to just take the leap. This is your confirmation to take the leap, because we are seriously in a battle that a lot of Israel's not ready for with our young people, because they feel isolated and they go to school and they're wrestling against this monster in their school, and all they want to do is be accepted. All they want to do is be included. And in order for them to be included, they have to be okay with these things that are not okay in our culture. So it's a serious David versus Goliath type of situation. You know what I mean? But I was watching, I was on social the other day and I saw this Caucasian man girl, and he was talking about how he said he wanted to be one of the first to transgender. So he wanted to fully transform into a female. He wanted to fully have a cervix implanted. He wanted to carry the baby to term, and then he wanted to abort the baby. Yes. When you see him, you will see why he said it. He looks like everything he said he wanted to do.
What did he say? He said he wanted to have
He looks like that. And so this is when I see stuff like that, all I think of is Kodesh. That's all I think about. Like coming up out of her. Like that's all I think about when I see stuff like that. Like it's just disgusting. And you got Israel that's around that. You got folks grooming their kids for stuff like this. Like it's just bad. And so yeah, it was something else, but I forgot it. But yeah, it's super beyond wicked. Wickeder.
To land back on, it was a while ago, I think, but it was like a, I don't know if they had like a rally, but it was like the alphabet community, and they were chanting, you know, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. And this was the chant over and over and over again. And it's also in the cartoons like Peppa Pig and just stuff that Gigi, you know, little kids would watch about having, and Mickey Mouse, about having that same sex friend, partner, or, you know, somebody got two mommies, two daddies type. It's a lot of that in the kids' cartoons as well. So it's really running rampant. Like I feel like it snuck up on me because I feel like I should have been paying more attention when they was a little younger because I didn't see that coming. Like how it's like overboard now. And I just like, oh my God, what is happening? And now I'm trying to play catch up with a lot of stuff they doing, but a lot of damage has already been done.
Hey, real quick, you seen glimpses of same-sex marriages even back then, like in the 90s, right? Or late 90s with cartoon. Y'all know about the cartoon Rugrats, right? Did y'all ever notice that Phil and Lil Mama was like a dyke? Yeah. But y'all ain't notice it back then though. You did.
I just thought she like exercise.
When you look back at it, you like, oh, they've been trying to put this in front of us. Yep. So yeah.
To land back on what Ak and Sis said, not only like when you go to the library, I know a lot of you all probably have seen this clip where it was a black father. He was furious in reference to the book that, you know, the children can check out, and it says like two mommies, two daddies or something. And then when you open the book, it actually shows them in the interaction of the act of, yeah. So he's reading it to the council, and then they're getting upset. He continues to read. He said, but if y'all don't want to hear this, yeah, like if you don't want to hear this, why would you think it's okay to have this book in the library for our children to read? It's appalling to y'all to hear it, but y'all want our children to read this book or check this book out. Yeah, he wasn't going, but I'm just saying, it is a battle. You know, that's why it's imperative what I said in reference to us opening the school, because not only that's important, but taking the children out of the school system, because they have given them the jurisdiction to say if something going on at home, they have the right to take your child out your home, and you don't even know where your child is. And you can't do nothing about it. You can blow the school up, you can fight everybody, whatever, and you still not going to know where your child is. They're not at liberty to tell you nothing, because our children are not our children. They are awarded to the state for real, because we all have birth certificates and social security cards. So you could say whatever, and they could be like, well, I don't know where your child is. There's nothing you could do. You could go on the rampage to look for them, and you're not going to find them because they're somewhere far away, and there's nothing you can do. So that's what I'm saying. We got to get them. It starts with the school system. As soon as they go to school and say, my mom and dad was arguing, and I don't feel safe at home, there it is. And then it goes from there.
Let me clarify something real quick before you go out. So I think what Sister Nawaz said might have went over some people's heads, right? She made the statement that because you have a birth certificate and a social security card, then what did you say? Then you award it to the state, right? A lot of people don't realize that and don't know that that just by having these things that technically that's what it, but you see millions and millions and millions of people that have these things and they don't do that. You understand what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? That is a form of that. And that's a whole nother class and down the, you know what I mean? But here's the reverse of it, right? Those that don't have a birth certificate and social security cards, they also get their children took. So now, what's the defining line? For me, I see the defining line is that you don't have no power, right? It's not necessarily the birth certificate and social security card, even though on paper that is true. It's a whole lot of people that say, I'm not getting a birth certificate nor a social security card, and they still get their kids taken by the state, right? So it's because you don't have power. I had this conversation many years ago. I did a whole, like 2010, 2011, I did a whole radio show about it. But to be on Black Talk Radio Heavy. And we went into the whole details of all this stuff. And there was actually people, what they were saying could be right on paper, but not right in reality. So it was a bunch of Israelites at that time and other people doing this thing like, well, we're going to claim sovereignty. Sovereignty means I'm going to revoke my citizenship from America. I'm going to be sovereign, like a sovereign citizen, all this type of stuff, right? They was into that and this and that, right? But not really knowing what they really into. And this is what they were telling the people, getting other people to do it. Like if everything go down and martial law, whatever, the government at your door, they're going to lock you up, say the mark of the beast come out, all the worst stuff we can think of. They trick their mind to believe that they can show the authority some sovereignty paper and they're gonna be like, all right, we'll leave him alone. We're not messing with him because he got sovereignty papers, right? That's not the case. How many times, some of y'all might don't know that, you can watch videos of sovereign citizens going live on their YouTube page and they go and try to do sovereign stuff. Guess what happened to them? They still go to jail. They still got teeth. They still do all this other stuff. But technically, a lot of stuff they're saying is right by the book. But if you don't have no power, you don't have no power, right? They don't recognize your sovereignty. They might, if a Japanese man come and he a part of the Japanese government to America, they gonna recognize his sovereignty. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you got your own country, your own laws, your own this and that. Why? Because he got the whole Japanese government to back him up, the whole Chinese government, wherever he's from. Who we got to back us up? Right. Just as Black people in America, nobody. Now, when you're in the truth, you got the Most High. And the Most High gives you wisdom to how to walk and move in this society. So for me, then I'm going to go to you. Whether I have a birth certificate, social security card on my children or not, nobody's going to take my children. Now, ultimately, they could take them, but I'll be dead. But some of them gonna be dead as well. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. And so you gotta get to the point where you're like Martin Luther King's, in my mind, one of the greatest speeches he gave was when he said about the Emancipation Proclamation, which is saying we need the European president to write this so we can be free. He said, no man can make you free. No Emancipation Proclamation can make you free. He said, if you were to be free, you gotta reach down into the depths of your own soul and stand as a man. But you know, Martin Luther King was a great speaker. And the way he put it, it really touched your heart. Like, he's right. Like, no man can tell you at a certain point, all right, we're gonna obey your laws, your traffic laws, your this and that. But if you come in my house and just take my children, like, it's a point to where, because once they gone, sometimes you'll never see them again. You never get them back. So I just always, that was in my mind. Like, some things you will stand for, some things you don't stand for. Some things you're supposed to die for, some things you live for, and that's just what it is. And if not, you know, you just gotta be subject to evil people your whole life. So, yeah, that's just how I feel about it. Good.
Yoke of iron.
So I want to just kind of talk about what the sisters was talking about earlier in regard to the sister that was down in Hoover, Alabama. And I saw a comment when I first seen the screenshot. I saw a comment and somebody posted, it was like, just playing devil's advocate. What if that kid was put out there for bait?
Yeah, for sure.
And what's crazy is as crazy as that sounds, in this time, in this land, we can't rule that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was weird for me to read that, but I was like, that's just like America. That's just like America, to put somebody out there as bait, a little kid out there as bait to try to bait an adult. And I remember I've only ran out of gas 3 times in my adult life. And every time, 2 times it was on the highway. And so when I'm walking to the gas station, like somebody always pulled over. 2 of them was Israel, 1 was a Caucasian guy. And there was never anything in regard to harm or anything like that. So that was almost how I always looked out. And I'm on the highway, and there are times where I want to pull over, but because I don't know who I'm gonna be dealing with, I keep going. I'm like, I just pray, like,
you gotta pray right there.
Like, Most High send somebody their way.
Bruh.
And it's just crazy that we can't rule nothing out. Like, our own people will set us up because they know, like, everything is increasing. Like, it costs more to eat, live. You know what I mean? And they're going to try to figure out what can they do to gain money without the least amount of effort. And so you have our own people setting us up with human trafficking and all of that. But they're going to be here, they're going to be there. And there's this, lastly, there's this this flight attendant that I follow on IG, and she went, or TikTok, and she went viral because she's a flight attendant and goes to these various hotel destinations. She packs with her a hotel kit. It has an extra door lock on, an extra door stopper, all these different tips and stuff that she gives. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm gonna put it in our chat, but she gives like a whole tutorial of what to look for when she's in each hotel, no matter where she go. This is what she does. This is her regimen before she settles into the hotel for the night, a couple of days or whatever. She does it all the time, and I feel like it'll be very beneficial to us as a congregation. So we here now, and it takes that type of stuff now. You know what I mean? So.
I just wanted to kind of land back off of what Matthew was saying as far as it kind of took her by surprise with all the extra stuff they got going on. Like, we didn't pay attention to a lot of stuff, but it was out there. Like, I don't know if y'all remember that show, Cat Dog. Yeah. But for real, like, the cat was attached. It was the cat on one end, it was the dog on the other end. And when you read the Jerry, they was attached to them animals. It was part human, part animal, all of that stuff. They've been putting little stuff out there.
Yeah.
It ain't. Yeah. Then they this pedophile stuff. They got the little show Uncle Grandpa. How you get that way?
Yeah, I've been hearing about that a little bit.
I call my kids right now. I'm like, what's that?
Uncle Grandpa.
Never heard of.
Yeah, I heard about it a little bit.
Bring it out.
Let's see. Okay. Hey, so real quick, y'all, I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit, right? I just want to see how y'all see this before y'all get into this lesson. So when we look at Deuteronomy 28, y'all can go there with me just to follow along. I'm just gonna point out a couple verses. Right. So y'all know the common conversation we have, right?
Okay.
Nah, this is something different.
Okay.
So we have conversations about are we the people of the book, Deuteronomy 28, right? And but who in this room feels like that we're still cursed, like in this truth? Because the common consensus is, even in this truth, keeping the commandments, we're still wholly cursed as like an individual that keeps the law, statutes, and commandments. So who in this room still feels like we still fit each and every curse, even as an individual walking in this truth? You don't feel like that no more? Kind of overcame that thought? Somebody put their hand up in the back. I don't know who it was, but I ain't gonna call you out. It was you? All right, cool. So think about this. I would say it's we are, but at the same time we're not. Because there are certain curses that you just can't do anything about on the condition side. But there are other curses, right? Such as this. When we get our land, I want y'all to just pay close attention to what I'm about to say. When we get our land, if we're still cursed in this aspect from what I'm about to read, then it's almost a discouragement to those who go out to the land that want to do what? Plant a vineyard, plant crops. Right. You have to stop and think in your mind, well, this curse that I'm about to read, if this curse still abounds over me as an Israelite that keeps the truth, that walks his walk, then what's the point of going out there planting if I'm not going to reap the benefit? Right. I think we need to look deeper into this to see what it's really saying. So Deuteronomy 28, and I'm going to start at verse 38. Y'all let me know when y'all there. Okay, cool. So it says, you shall carry much seed. Hey, Will, can you read this for me so I can make sure my thoughts is just more so focused on breaking it down? So we're going to read 38 and then we're going to read down. And I want to do more of this, y'all, like just, a little textual criticism on the scriptures, putting ourselves in the mind frame of our ancestors first in the ancient Near East, and then seeing how we can resonate it with our life today. All right.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 38. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coast, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast his fruit.
All right, you can start right there. So this is dealing with like agricultural, right? So I'm not familiar with where olive trees, may have grew outside of Jerusalem or Israel, but maybe that's something we can look into. Do olive trees grow in America? Do olive trees grow in Brazil? For this to be a curse that fits us as a nation wherever we are, right? But the point is this. What is it saying when it says, you shall carry much seed out into the field and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume? How do y'all see that? Is this an ongoing curse that can still happen today? Or can we fix it by being in the truth and seeing that this is something that took place in the past and it was presentable for that time? Go ahead, sis.
I think the answer is, I think it's both.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, it affects us now,
Mm-hmm.
even while keeping the commandments. And I also believe that that it is a possibility that you have the ability to change that as well at the same time by keeping the commandments. And I say that because I know it sounds confusing, but one, if you think about this from a large macroscopic level, when we were, before this curse was put on us, Deuteronomy 28,
Mm-hmm.
like the whole point, the fact that we had to be moved from our land and taken to a land that's not ours, and all the things that we do, we are always reaping much less than what we would have. Meaning, like we would have truly owned that land. It would have been blessed by the Most High.
Right.
So from that perspective, even by keeping the commandments and doing what we do today, I feel like we yield 10% of what we would have, where we would have yielded 100% if we would have been totally obedient back then.
Gotcha.
But I do believe that by keeping the commandments, like the principle is still, it definitely governs our life still every day.
Mm-hmm.
By keeping the commandments or not. So the fact that keeping the commandments, you pray, you able to have a piece of land, and you're able to yield what you plant, I think you can do that. And the same principle will apply. It's just that, and we could yield 100% of the crop. Maybe we have 100 acres, but the land, nothing compares to owning and being in leadership, of over Israel, what we would have had been.
Right.
So
Got
that's why I say yes, kind of to both.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Maybe one more comment, and then I'll give y'all my objective thought towards the text. If anybody else want to comment, if not, I'll just give my objective thought. All right. So here's how I see it. I see it like it's predicated to both times, whether if we were in our own land and also today. But the only way the locust can consume it is if the land is not being occupied. If you are a person that's tilling the land and you're over the land, then you can shoo off the locust in its proper manner. If you are planting a vineyard, then you can shoo off anything that tries to come against whatever you've planted, because you're going to be too busy planting and plucking to the point where about time the worms try and get to it, it wouldn't destroy what you already planted and what already got brought forth. That makes sense? So when we go into captivity, the reason why the worms consumed the vineyard is because there was no one there to pluck the grapes. So of course, the worms are going to consume what's left and not being occupied. So it's showing that you're going to go into captivity, but look at all this abundant stuff that's about to get ate up and destroyed because no one is there to occupy the land. Not while you're in real time occupying the land. It's not like, oh, I can't, maybe I'm getting plagued by the Almighty because we planting all these watermelons and tomatoes and nothing is growing. Well, it's just that's just kind of based on the science of how you should be planting and where you should plant at and how you should till. It would have nothing to do with you being under a curse, but most people would think that because they're not seeing their crops growing, they think I'm cursed. Almighty is not dealing with me, but it's not talking about that. So any of that makes sense? Yeah. And so fast forward in today's time, if we move on the land and do all of this and then move off that land to another land and revisit that land in like 10 years, all of that stuff that we grew and stuff like that is going to be wiped out. It's going to be gone, ate up. The rodents going to be all in the field, mice and all of that stuff, worms, whatever the case may be, right? So I'm just, more so just pointing this out because we can see this all throughout the text. But all in all, we still fit this particular chapter for sure. But it's just like we got to know how to put it in its proper tense, past tense, future tense, present tense, or whatever, so on and so forth. So, but I just wanted to throw that out there. My bad, Yash. I know you was ready to get into these scripts, but
It's all good, bro.
it's on my heart.
Ain't no rush.
All right, family. Let's read a few scriptures before we get ready to move into the praise and worship session and break and everything else we're gonna do.
All right.
So today we're gonna talk a little bit about last day scriptures. All right, anything dealing with the last days. That's what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna kind of skip around, and this is how we're gonna do it. So I don't mind if y'all dialogue a little bit with this back and forth. That's cool too. So what do I want to start with? I want to start with a scripture that I can't think of where it is, but I think it's in the book of Isaiah. Give me a second. Oh, we go like about the surname. Surname yourself Israel.
Oh, I got that.
45.
It's 45.
46.
Isaiah 46. Let's go there. Book of Isaiah chapter 46. Let's go there. I know how I go. I know what it say. I don't know where it's at. So
Dude, I might be wrong.
I'm sure it's Isaiah somewhere though.
One shall call, one shall say, I am.
Oh, it's like verse 5.
Isaiah 44 and 5.
Oh, yeah.
Isaiah chapter 44.
all right, y'all. We're going to the book of Isaiah chapter 44.
44 and 5.
Yep.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 44 and verse 5. One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel.
Let's read that one more time, bro. This is Isaiah giving a prophecy. A prophecy is something that's going to happen in the future from the time that he said it. We know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen sometime in the future. So let's read that again. What did he say going to happen?
One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel.
They shall do what? Surname himself by the name of Israel. When I first came into this truth, it was far and few between that you see so-called black people, so-called African American, knowing that they're Israelites, calling themselves Israelites, calling themselves by Hebrew names. All this stuff that we see today is just growing and growing and growing, right? So this is Isaiah giving a prophecy, and now when we look, it's just gotten bigger and bigger, and it's going to get even bigger than this, right? Because this is an awakening of a people. The problem is when people confuse an awakening for religion, right? You didn't join a religion. You awoken to your true nationality. You woke up to who you really are. That's what you did. And so therefore, if millions of people around the world are waking up to their true nationality, since it's not a religion, it's not going to all look the same. It's not going to be in the same time frame. It's not going to be with the exact same information, right? For instance, if you go join the Baptist church, they already got the Baptist church already mapped out. This is what we believe. This is what it is. This is what you do. This is what it means to be a Baptist, right? It's already mapped out. And when you join onto that, that's what you have joined onto. Saying that you're an Israelite and waking up to the fact that you're an Israelite is not that. And that's the part that confuses a lot of new people that come into the truth. They'll be like, well, these Israelites over there said this, and y'all say this, and they say this. Then they say, I don't like this because Israelites are not organized. Because it's a nation of people, right? And when you look at it as a nation, do you understand it, right? Look at the Germans as a nation, right? Every German don't believe the same thing. Some Germans are in the Baptist religion. Some Germans are Catholic. Some Germans are, Methodist or whatever the case may be, right? So, but look at it as an awakening. And how can we still unite together even if we don't agree with the exact same doctrine as a nation, right? We're not always worshiping together, but as a nation, how can we come together? How can we work together? How can we not be against each other all the time? That's the problem that Israel has. So, all of y'all that has Hebrew names, y'all have fulfilled this prophecy and not even knowing it. All of y'all that know that y'all are Israelite and calling yourself an Israelite, you have fulfilled this prophecy that the Almighty gave to Isaiah and not even knowing it. And he gave it to Isaiah a few thousand years ago. And we fulfilling that right now. See that? Hallelujah. So we waking up, we fulfilling this prophecy. So when people say things like, why you call yourself this, why you doing that? It said even you will surname yourself Israel. You give yourself your own Hebrew name. What fits you? That's prophecy as well. That's what the true Israelites are going to do. That being said, let's go to the book of Amos, chapter number 8. We're going to read verses 11 and 12.
It's the book of Amos, chapter 8, starting at verse 11. Behold, the days come, say Yahweh Elohim, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh, and shall not find it.
Now, think about this. The Almighty says it's going to come a famine in the land. And that famine will be a thirst, not for food or water, but a thirst for the word of the Almighty, for the word of Yahweh. We got preachers, ministers, bishops, whatever everybody call themselves, teachers, pastors, mores, whatever the word or title they may use. Some people just say, I'm just a brother, but they teach, right? All over the country. I'm not just dealing with those that say that they're an Israelite. I'm talking about in general. You could be a Baptist pastor, a Catholic, a Methodist. You know what I mean? You could be a Hebrew teacher, whatever you are, but we're all saying something different. but we're all reading the same one book. Where else in the world do you find that?
Right.
You don't find it nowhere else. It's all the doctors reading the same medical book, but they all saying something vastly different. They may have a slight difference of opinion on things. I think we should do it this way versus this way. You may need certain, but overall, they're saying the same basic stuff. We're not saying the same basic stuff. We're saying the opposite stuff when you deal with all of these. So that's why you realize, wait a minute, this is spiritual, right? Because we can all read, right? We all went to school. We all learn how to read. It say what it say. So this is more than just reading a physical book. When you read these scriptures, it illuminates within your spirit. Like these scriptures hit you in your spirit like no other book. You can read a novel all day long. You're like, oh, that was a good book. That was interesting. I can't wait to turn the page and see what's going to happen. But this hits you in your spirit. That just entertains you like a movie entertains you. This hits your spirit where it's like, I need to get myself together. Right? This book, when you read, you like, I need to level up. I need to straighten up. This book gets your life together. So, look at verse 12. It says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, from the north even unto the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh and shall not find it. That's what we're witnessing today. That's why many of our people have left the Christian church and Christian religion, because they were seeking the word of Yahweh there and they didn't find it, right? They were seeking the Almighty's word and did not find it. So there shouldn't be so many people teaching the word. It should be only a select few that the Almighty truly has called to teach the word. Everybody want to grab and start teaching and run with the word, and here comes all the confusion, because people were just making up stuff out of their own head or just running with stuff and getting stuff. It shouldn't be that many, right? So it's prophesied that the word of the Almighty would not be found. We in that day, even though we waking up, we still in that day where the word is far in between, right? We're in the city of Greater Cincinnati. It's like 2 million people, right? Greater Cincinnati is like 2 million people, a little over 2 million people. And look how many people we notice in the truth. It's a very small fraction of that 2 million within all of Greater Cincinnati. You know what I mean? Greater Cincinnati includes the suburbs and all that stuff within this area. And most people don't know what we're doing. Most people have no idea what the Most High truly commanded us to do. They have no idea who we are. They have no idea how to even serve the creator of the universe. But it's a Bible in every single hotel. It's a Bible in everybody's house. And nothing that we say or get came from our own words. We just read the book and actually started to walk it. So that means that the word of the Almighty is in a famine. People can't find it. The average person, when they seek in the Most High, where they gonna go? To a Sunday Christian church. And the word is not there. When they think in their mind, I want to seek the Most High, I want to find him, and I want to serve him, they're gonna go to the local church, either by their house, or they gonna call up a friend that's been going to church and say, hey, where you go? I'm gonna go where you go. Or something like that, right? And when they get there, 9 times out of 10, what they gonna learn? Tradition. Not truth, they gonna learn tradition. Tradition pushes you farther away from the Most High. Let's read Isaiah 51 and 20. Tell me this. In American chattel slavery, how did we get here? Like when they was shifting us around and selling us and buying us and selling us, what type of attire did we have on? Chains, exactly. What else did we have on besides chains? She said we was naked.
I mean, you had your
A little cloth. Cool. You think that missed the eye of the Almighty? That little cloth? Let's see if that missed the eye of the Almighty or not. Isaiah 51 and 20.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 51 and verse 20. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in the net. They are full of the fury of Yahweh. They rebuke thy Elohim.
Right. They sons have fainted. Where they sons lie at?
At the head of all the streets.
At the head of all the streets. Where is the head of the streets? Tell me that. Thy sons have fainted, right? Talking about Israelites. Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. What's the head of the street? Exactly. The corners. Isaiah prophesied what would be at. How many young men in here used to hang on the street corners? It was on the corners. And then it says, as a wild bull in a net. Remember, the scriptures are speaking metaphorically as well about our condition, about how our condition will be. As a wild bull in the net. Who ever seen a wild bull in the net? Not a tame bull, but a wild bull. You ain't see them little cowboy things? Where they be riding? Yeah. It's like a wild bull in the net. What the bull be doing? He be fighting and kicking and bucking, all that stuff. That's symbolic to how the young men will be on the street corners of America. As a wild bull in the net, right? They running wild. They have no direction. They have no guidance. You know what I'm saying? They just as a wild bull in the net. They're doing all destructive behavior. We all been young before. You know, we did destructive behavior, right? Behavior is going to lead to jail or death, but nothing good. So Isaiah prophesied that what? We will be at the head of the street, which is the street corner, as a wild bull in the net. And hold on. You get the latter part of that verse again. So it says, as a wild bull in the net, it says they are full of the fury of Yahweh, thy rebuke of thy Elohim. So they're full of the Almighty's fury and don't even know. All right, that's the condition that true Israel will be in. All right, now I want to go to what did I mention? Just mention to y'all what clothes we had on. What is that? Isaiah 20, I think. Somebody help me out with that. Remember what I just asked y'all. What clothing do we have on? I think I want to go to Isaiah chapter 20. What I'm looking for. It says
I heard it before, but I
right there in a minute. Hold on, give me a second.
But
I
I
might not be familiar with
I
this.
see where you're going though.
Is it Isaiah 20? What verse?
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4. All right, let me get there. Hold on.
Two, 3, and 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not that one. Give me a second.
Yeah, it's verse 4.
Is it?
Yup. The latter part. What you just said.
There we go.
Oh wow.
Isaiah chapter 20. Verse number 4. Let's go here.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 20 and verse 4.
Now, this is not specifically dealing with American slavery, but it's things they call dual prophecies. It's things that it happened then, but then it happened again. For example, here's a dual prophecy for you. If we go to the book of, don't turn there though, but if we go to the book of Exodus, the 4th chapter, what do it say? It say, out of Egypt have I called my son. Right?
Right.
Okay. It's all good. All right, so listen. Exodus 4th chapter says, out of Egypt have I called my son. Y'all familiar with that? And what the Almighty was talking about is that his son is the nation of Israel, and he called the nation of Israel out of Egypt.
Right.
But then we could go to the book of Matthew, and it acquires that same verse contributed to Yahweh the Messiah. Why? Because the Messiah also was an Israelite that was hidden down in Egypt when the Roman government was trying to kill all the newborn babies. And they used that to say, because he came back out of Egypt, back to his homeland, say, out of Egypt have I called my son. So it meant both. It meant Egypt back then for the nation of Israel, but it also meant in his time, it meant him. Those are called dual prophecies. There are many dual prophecies in the scriptures. Another dual prophecy, I'm not about to go into the whole history, but is well, I ain't gonna say it now because I might confuse y'all. I'm gonna have to clarify. But those are dual prophecies. All right. So yeah, I'll get you later. So we'll do it on break. We'll break it down on break. So now, with that being said, since it's a dual prophecy, let's go back here, and that is not specifically talking about here in America, but it's a dual prophecy. So it was talking about then, and now it's talking about now. So we see what our people went through then, and then you see what they went through later, right? So let's go ahead. Isaiah 20 and verse 4.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 20 and verse 4. So shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptian prisoners and the Ethiopian captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt.
They shall lead away who? The Egyptian prisoners. Who are the Egyptian captives? Us, the nation of Israel. And he said they're going to lead us away how? Naked and barefoot with their buttocks out. When you look at slavery pictures, we was naked, a lot of them. We was barefoot on the auction block with our butts out. This is not the first time that happened to us. This is not the first time that the enemies of our people have done this to us, right? So all I'm saying is to show, all of this shows who we are. It's called epigenetics. You going through the same stuff your ancestors went through. That's why what we got to start focusing on now, that we mention from time to time, but never dug in deep in it, is something called breaking generational curses. And that take time. It take, like, you actually fighting. You going to war, but you going to war spiritually, right? No evil thoughts can come in your mind. No bad food should come within your body. You got to be in constant prayer, even if you are working, things like that. Your mind got to be fixated on the Most High day and night to endure that type of spiritual war. You think the devil is going to let your children go and you in this truth? Be like, all right, I tried for 10 years and I ain't get you, but I'm going to get your child.
Right.
And that's the next step of why you got to do. Why you think it's so many people that you'll find the parents in the truth, but the children not. Did not that same thing happen to King David? King David was righteous. He was beloved by the Most High. He was a righteous king. The Most High was with him. The scripture says his life was great with the Most High in every way, except for the matter of Uriah the Hittite.
Right.
But besides that, he lived a righteous life. Yeah, he a man. He gonna make a mistake, right? It was a terrible mistake, but besides that, he was a righteous man. The scriptures say that over and over. But what happened with his children? His children was off dead. Yeah, it was fried.
Yeah. Super.
One of his kids actually laid with his father's wife. What type of kid is that? You know? Yeah, your own child. Yeah, Reuben did the same thing. Yeah, right. So what I'm saying is that's the next step, right? That's the next step that you got to get into. But let's keep going. I'm just showing you these last days, what it's talking about. So you might think, somebody might think, well, that ain't the last days. That happened 400 and 300 and 200 years ago, right? But that's still the last days. You got to look at the last days like days of the week. Every day represents 1,000 years, right? Because it's a scripture that talks about that. So if every day represents 1,000 years, we bowed into six day. You know what I mean? Right? How do I know that? Let's go to the book of Job chapter 2 and verse 28. Then we're going to go to Acts and clarify that the last days has been going on for at least 2,000 years ago.
You said Job or Joel?
Joel. Yeah, Joel, Joel.
Oh, Joel.
Yeah, it's just the way I pronounced it. I said Joel.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Joseph, you got a book here?
Joel. 2 and 28. Joel or Joel, 2 and 28.
It's the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions.
Now he will pour out his spirit upon all flesh, right? Let's go to Acts chapter 2. We're going to start reading in verse 1, just to get the context.
Verse Acts.
We're going to start at 1. Yep.
Okay.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 2, starting at verse 1. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. Verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? Verse 8. And how hear we, every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes, Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea, and Cappadocia, and Pontus, and Asia, and Phrygia, and Pamphylia, in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya, about Cyrene, and the strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of Elohim. Verse 12. And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, What meaneth this? Others mocking said, These men are full of new wine.
So they said, what mean this? So they want to know what's the meaning of this, right? Peter is about to declare the meaning. Pick up with verse 14.
Verse 14. But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, Ye men of Judea, and all ye that dwell in Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken, as ye suppose, seeing it is but the third hour of the day.
It's only the third hour of the day. They're not drunk. They having no time to get drunk. But what is it? What did Peter say it was in verse 16?
Verse 16. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. It shall come to pass that in the last days, saith Yahweh, I will pour out all of my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams.
So now, Peter just declared that this is what Joel prophesied. And what did he say in verse 17? It shall come to pass in the last days, saith Yahweh. Peter is declaring that what's going on is prophesied by the prophet Joel. But he said it's going to happen when? In the last days. So if the last days was 2,000 years ago, then certainly the last days is today. Some people were saying they still waiting on the last days to start. We've been in the last days for a while. When you understand that the scriptures every day represented as 1,000 years, we've been in the last days for 2,000 years, right? So now all we got to do once we're in the last days is watch the signs. And I'm going to give y'all some signs throughout the course of this lesson. We already been given some of the signs. What is some of the signs? One of the signs is the nation of Israel and the condition the nation of Israel will be in, right? Some people say the nation of Israel already went back home. You can't go back home unless you go into captivity first, right? Israel had to go into captivity first, and then they're going to go back home. And the captivity is described, everything is going to happen to us in Deuteronomy 28 and elsewhere. What's one of the signs we read so far? Israel going to wake up and start to surname themselves Israel, give themselves Hebrew names, and wake up to who they are, call themselves Jacob, or belong to Yahweh, right? Some people would say, hey, I ain't Israelite, I belong to Yahweh. I know Israelites to say that. I've seen people say that because they look at the wickedness of our people waking up and they don't want to be attached to it. So they just say, I belong to Yahweh. But that's what Isaiah said will happen as well. So what else gonna happen? Israel went into captivity, barefoot, naked, with their butts out for a second time. Like we read in Isaiah. What else is going to happen in the latter days? Let's go to Book of Revelation. Let's go to 16th chapter and the 12th verse. Some of y'all know that we talked about this a few months back when it was actually happening. Revelation 16 and 12. And then one will say, well, this book is not true. The so-called New Testament is not true. It's prophecies that are coming to pass. So watch this.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
And the water was dried up in the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River was a big river. Well, John the prophet prophesied that the Euphrates River will be dried up. When did it dry up? It just dried up in 2022. He said this 2,000 years ago. It happened in 2022. You can pull up internet articles right now how the Euphrates River dried up. You think the Most High's hand and spirit is not over this book? The Most High Spirit is definitely on this book. No man can tell you that. Right? No man can tell you that. Most of these rivers last forever. Right? What whole rivers and big bodies of water just dry up. But it actually happened. And it just happened last year. So, if this happened, and the Most High said other things and that happened, then that's what else going to happen. The judgment is going to happen too. The wicked part is going to happen too. You can believe everything the Most High said is going to happen. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36. We're going to read 16 through 23. Chapter 36. Ezekiel 36, verses 16 through 23.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36, starting at verse 16. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doing.
So what that tell us so far? That the house of Israel is where? Not in their own land. When Ezekiel says, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, like when you used to live in your land. So as I told y'all before, when you're looking for the true Israelites, don't look in the land of Israel. All prophets show that the true Israelites won't be in the land of Israel. We're different than every other nation upon the face of the earth. If you're looking for Chinese people, go to China. If you're looking for Germans, go to Germany. If you're looking for Italians, go to Italy. If you're looking for Ethiopians, go to Ethiopia. If you're looking for Israelites, don't go to Israel. And that's the problem that our people is doing. The Christian church runs straight to Israel. They turn right on TBN and be like, go right to the land of Israel. All prophets show that the true Israelites as a whole will not be in the land of Israel until the Messiah comes back and return them to the land of Israel. And the Messiah didn't come back yet. Let's keep going on.
I'm start at the top of verse 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
Our way was unclean to the Most High. So what did he do about that? Keep going.
Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
He scattered us among the heathen. That's what we at right now today. And we've been that way ever since the days of Ezekiel. We've been scattered among the heathen. Keep going.
Verse 20. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. When they said unto them, these are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen whither they went. Verse 22. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus says Yahweh Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake.
See that? The Most High said, listen, y'all been wicked. Y'all been serving idols. I'm not even about to do this for your sake. I'm doing it for my holy name's sake. Why? Because we have his name. The Almighty's name is with us. He protecting his own name. That's less like saying you a man and you got a wife and she out here representing you real bad. You know what I mean? You doing this for your own name's sake. This is what the Almighty is saying. Or you got a child that's just representing you real bad. You doing things for your own name's sake. This is what the Almighty is saying, because you're not representing me. I'm not doing this for your sake. You deserve to be scattered in captivity and everything I'm doing it for my holy name's sake. So go ahead.
Top of verse 22. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus says Yahweh Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, saith Yahweh Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes.
Right? When I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. The Almighty is protecting himself and his own name's sake. Because we wasn't doing it. Keep going.
Verse 24. For I will
we good. We good right there, 23. All right, so in the latter days, we understand that what? Israel will be scattered, right? But while Israel is scattered, what's going to be the condition of our land we used to live in? Let's read two places. Number one, Revelation chapter 3, verse number 9. Revelation 3 and 9.
I just want to say this while we get in that.
Go ahead.
Like, that's how you know that we are the people, because I take that back. That's how you know mercy and grace was even in the Old Testament, because they talk about how grace was not around and grace only came because in the New Testament, he's saving Israel for his name's sake. That's grace. That's mercy right there. And a lot of people miss that in the Christian church because they think, only grace and mercy came in the New Testament because of Yahweh Shai. Right. And that's not accurate.
Right. So absolutely.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee, because thou hast kept the word of my patience.
That's good right there. I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, who say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Let's precept that. Revelation 2 and 9.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
Somebody in the last days is prophesied to say they are Jews and are not. So it's either us or it's somebody else, or it's them. Right? Somebody say they are Jews and are not. Exactly. Somebody say they're Jews and are not. So now, let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 21. Messiah gone, laying back on top of what we just read. Book of Luke 21. We're going to start reading verse 22 through 24. Book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 22 through 24. So this is all stuff that's going to be going on in the last days. True Israel is going to be scattered. They don't went into captivity half naked again, right? The young men gonna be at the head of the street corner as a wild bull in a net, acting wild. People gonna be calling themselves Jews and are not. True Israel is gonna wake up and start to surname themselves Israel. And what the Messiah say gonna happen? Luke 21, verse 22 through 24.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 21, starting at verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. Verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So the Messiah just prophesied about our condition. The Messiah lived about how long ago? About 2,000 years ago. Now we're going to put it into a time span. Within the past 2,000 years from the time he said that until now, what people fit this category, right? It says, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. What is he talking about? Help me out. He said, these be the days of vengeance, that all things which were written may be fulfilled. Then after that, to give you a context clue, he said, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. What wrath upon this people is he talking about that was written that hasn't been fulfilled yet in his day, but he said it's going to be fulfilled after him? What is he talking about? Right. But what scripture can we go to prophesy the wrath of the Israelites that wasn't fulfilled yet in the Messiah's day? Y'all know where we can go, where we always go, and other places. He said, wrath is coming upon the true Israelites, and things that were written about them that's going to happen hasn't been fulfilled yet, but it's going to be fulfilled after him. Can we go to Deuteronomy 28? Don't Deuteronomy 28 say we're going to go into captivity into a nation that thou nor thy fathers have known? Do we have to go there? Y'all know it says that. Since it say that, give me the captivities of Israel. What was the major captivity of Israel? It was Egypt, right? He couldn't have been talking about Egypt. Why? In Deuteronomy 28, because it already happened. Exactly. They already been to Egypt and came out. The next captivity was Assyria. Why couldn't he be talking about Assyria? They knew about Assyria, right? In Deuteronomy 20, he's saying in Deuteronomy 28, we going into captivity in a land that you nor your forefathers have heard of, have known. They knew about Assyria. The next captivity was the Babylonian captivity. Why couldn't he be talking about Babylon? They knew about Babylon. The next one was the Medo-Persians. Why couldn't he be talking about that? They knew about that as well. They read about all these land and people before Deuteronomy 28. You found them all in Genesis, right? That they knew about the people and the lands. The next one was the Greek. Why couldn't he talk about that? They knew about that. And the next one was Rome. Why couldn't he talk about that? Like the Roman occupation of, they was in that currently. When he spoke it, they was currently in that. So when he says in Deuteronomy 28, you're going into a captivity in a land that you nor your forefathers had known, we got to find somewhere outside of them. And guess what? When they come and say, well, could it have been Russia? Because we had persecution in Russia and Germany. Guess what? They knew about them too. Because we could go right to Genesis 10 and show you Russia and Germany, right? He said, you're going into a land that you nor your forefathers have not known. Did our forefathers ever write about America by name? No. But they wrote about it by condition. The condition that we will be in once we get here. That's Deuteronomy 28. That makes sense? All right. So when the Messiah says this here in verse 23, but woe unto them that give suck, or with child, and those that give suck in those days, there should be great distress and wrath upon this people. He's talking about what didn't happen before, because he said, where it say that about written? Oh, verse 22. These be the days of vengeance, that all things which were written may be fulfilled. Talking about something that's written. Now watch verse 24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. It did not happen. So now what group of people did this happen to within the past 2,000 years? Who was led away captive into all nations and fell by the edge of the sword from Jerusalem, right? To be led away captive into all nations. When there's North America, Brazil, Haiti, the whole transatlantic slave trade, plus the Northern Kingdom was already scattered in all these other lands, led away captive into all nations. And while we're led away captive in all nations, Jerusalem shall be trodden down by who? By the Gentiles. The word trodden down simply means to be walked upon. So that's why I said, if you're looking for true Israel, don't go to Israel. The Messiah just prophesied it will be trodden down by Gentiles while you're led away captive into all nations. This stuff makes perfect sense. Does it not? It's like 2 and 2 is 4 all day. The true Israelites are scattered, led away captive into all nations. The Gentiles are walking upon, trodden down Jerusalem. Right? You got something about it?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Go ahead, shout it out.
I was gonna say it should probably be precept with Genesis 15.
Genesis chapter 15. What, 13?
Yeah, 13 through 16.
Gotcha. Genesis 15 is talking about, for those that don't know, how we're going to spend 400 years in that captivity. Right? So, yeah, I see why he went there. Cool. So, let's go to Isaiah 66 and 20. Look at Isaiah chapter 66, verse number 20. We see the Euphrates River dried up, just like the scripture says. So John prophesied that correctly. We see that our people were scattered, just like the Messiah talked about. He prophesied that correctly. We see what Isaiah prophesied correctly. Let's go to Isaiah 66 and 20 now.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 20. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations upon horses and in chariots and in litters and upon mules and upon swift beasts to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith Yahweh, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahweh.
Okay, cool. So going with the return back home of the nation of Israel, we know that the Messiah is going to return us home, right? But do you also know that there are other return homes even before the Messiah returned us home? Do y'all know that? That's prophesied about. That's the ultimate return home. There's going to be other return homes even before that. And what's going to happen is some of these other nations are going to take us home. It's going to take our people back home. Y'all familiar with that? This is one of the places talking about stuff like that. All right. Was that fulfilled? Not the Messiah taking us home, but some of the other return homes. Was that fulfilled?
Yeah.
It was fulfilled. Give me when it was fulfilled.
The Ethiopians, some of those Ethiopians that were 1970 something.
Yep. Everybody know about that? So listen, some Israelites were scattered to Ethiopia. We can read that in the book of Isaiah, the 11th chapter, right? They're not Ethiopians. They're Israelites that live in Ethiopia, right? Isaiah, the 11th chapter talk about Israelites are scattered to Ethiopia. It's going to call it Cush. Cush is Ethiopia. Well, in the 1970s, these people were being persecuted by the Ethiopians. The Israeli government sent airplanes over to Ethiopia in the 1970s. It went on for some years. And they would load up planes at night and secretly fly them back to the land of Israel. And they still there to this day. And they've been living in the land of Israel to this day. That fulfills a prophecy that we can read about. That fulfills a prophecy that they're going to do that. It says the nations are going to bring you back. Now think about it. If a prophet is prophesying something, remember the scripture says we see through a glass darkly, right? The scripture also says that it talk about how you know things, but you don't know it like me talking to you when we dealing with prophecies, right? So imagine a prophet 2,000, 3,000, whatever years ago, prophesying about Israelites being put on airplanes and taken back home. They don't know nothing about airplanes, right? So when you read it in the prophecy, guess how I described it? We should be taken home on what? Who knows? It's a swift beast, right? We should be taken home on swift beast by the other nations, right? So it wasn't a chariot because that's by the Most High, right? Even though a chariot can be described as a swift beast, but the fact that it was by the other nations, we know there was an airplane. All right, so let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24. We're going to start reading in verse 1. We're going to break down a little bit, be in and out. Yep. I want y'all to help me out with Matthew 24. Yep, Matthew chapter 24 and verse number 1. Or we going to start at verse 1, shall I say?
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, starting at verse 1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Cool. Class, open book test, right? What is he talking about? Verse 1 says, and Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be one stone left upon another that shall not be thrown down. Who knows? What is he talking about? He talking about 70 AD? All right. We're in verse 2. Matthew 24 and 2. It said, there shall not be one stone left upon another that shall not be thrown down. He just prophesied that, right? Did his prophecy come true? And his prophecy came true when? In 70 AD. What happened in 70 AD for those that's quiet and don't know but don't want to say? Tell them what happened in 70 AD. Exactly. The Romans came in and destroyed the temple. Okay? The same temple he just came out of is like, look, you see all this building? One stone will not be left upon another that shall not be thrown down. The temple is so important to our people. And he's telling them this whole temple about to come down. Right? So now, if he prophesied that one stone should not be left upon another, and you get in an airplane right now and you take a trip to Jerusalem, what is that wailing wall that they keep standing in front of? What is that? They write prayers and they slip the prayers into the cracks of the wall. And they bob their head in front of the wall in the prayer. What is that wall? Who knows what the wall is? You know what the wall is? Roman fort? Kind of. Yeah, some people call it that. You can say that. So the wall was not a part of the temple as people are led to believe. The wall was the wall that surrounded the temple, right? He talking about the temple won't be thrown down. Right. That western side of the wall is still left. All right. So let's keep going. Verse number 3.
Verse number 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
Now, I think everybody mess up Matthew 24. A lot of people mess it up. He's about to now answer the question that the disciples asked him. But you have to realize they just asking 2 questions, and he's going to answer both of those questions throughout the course of this talk. The question was, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, exactly, his disciples came to him privately saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Those are the 2 questions. He first going to question, when shall these things be? What things be? The things he just told them. about the temple going to be tore down, right? People think all of Matthew 24 is about the last days. Last days meaning where we at now. The first half of Matthew 24, he's answering, when shall these things be? The first half of Matthew 24 happened some 40 years after he said it. The latter half of Matthew 24, he's answering, what shall be the end of the world and the sound of his coming. The latter half of Matthew 24 is dealing with the end of days. Let's keep going. We'll see this. Go ahead.
Verse 4, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
Now that's always, no matter what generation you're in, let no man deceive you. Keep going.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
That's always been happening. It's not just a new phenomenon. People have been saying it for a long time. Go ahead.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Verse 10, and then many shall be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
Everybody within the sound of my voice should be putting themselves in that last verse. He that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. No matter what happens in your life, what happens, you got to make up your mind that you're going to endure until the end. If you don't have that made up in your mind, you're not going to make it. And it got to be made up in your mind before trouble comes. You can't be in trouble and then make it up in your mind with a situation that already happened. You got to know that now, right? You got to know that now. Go ahead.
Verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come.
Then the end shall come. Keep going.
Verse 15, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Let him understand. So let's get some understanding. The abomination of desolation is an event. It is not a person. It is an event. Not only is it an event, it is an event that happens with the temple, right? Daniel prophesied about the abomination of desolation 2 times. And he was talking about 2 different events in 2 different chapters of the book of Daniel. One time he prophesied about the abomination of desolation, and he said they're going to set up the abomination of desolation on the altar within in the temple. And he said they're going to forbid the people during this abomination of desolation from making sacrifices. That's the daily sacrifices and the ceremonies and everything, right? Then when you go to the book of Maccabees, which is some 400 years after Daniel said that happened, you see it happening in First Maccabees, that they set up the abomination of desolation on the altar. Why? Because the temple was still standing, and they forbid the people from doing the sacrifices. So that prophecy was fulfilled in Maccabees. But then Daniel prophesied about another abomination of desolation. And the Messiah is backing it up here, said, when you see the one spoken by Daniel, not the one that already happened, another one is going to happen after the Messiah. What happened after the Messiah? If you need the temple to have an abomination of desolation, it had to happen when the temple came. So what happened this time? This time is when our scriptures had stopped being written. So we read it in history. Why? Because this is after this whole time the Messiah came, after the apostles, they pretty much read everything they wrote. This is when the Romans came in 70 AD, but it was shortly before 70 AD. History I read is like 68 AD. There was a Roman, I think he was an emperor named Nero. Nero was declaring himself, people looked at Nero like God. He went into the Most High's temple that was still standing and declared himself to be like the Most High. That's an abomination of desolation. In the book of Maccabees, they put idols in the temple. That's abomination of desolation, right? So this is what the Messiah is talking about here. That's why it says it like this in verse 15. when you shall therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whosoever readeth, let him understand. The holy place is the temple. The abomination of desolation was in the temple. Nero was standing in the Most High's temple. Let's keep going.
Verse 16. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
See, this is not specifically for us. He was giving our people a 2-year head start. They didn't have cars to jump into. They didn't have private jets. When you got to get out of Jerusalem, because the Romans 2 years later are going to ransack the whole country, the whole city of Jerusalem, and kill all the people and make the Israelites flee, you would have had a 2-year head start when you seen Nero do what he did in 68 AD. If you knew the scripture, you would have said, oh, it's time to go. Right? Get your livestock, your camels, your this and that, because why? It's a long journey. You walking. You right. Camels ain't fast. Donkeys ain't fast either. Right? Our people very rarely rode horses. They was on donkeys, stuff like that, you know? They got to get their stuff and they got to get out of there. They had a 2-year head start. And I'm sure some of them took that 2-year head start. You just don't read about them in the history. Right. But the Most High don't shine the light on those people. You only read about the people that got destroyed, the people that was left that got killed off and this and that, right? But he literally gave you a 2-year head start right here. When you see that man Nero walking to the Most High's temple that's still standing, and you know the Messiah said, well, wait a minute, this temple going to be destroyed. The abomination of desolation happened in temple. He said, when you see this, those that be in Judea, in Jerusalem, flee into the mountains. Right. You were supposed to leave right then and there. You got 24 months. I don't know exactly. You got 2 years. Right. However, you know what I mean? You got 2 years. It might have been a little more than 24 months because that's still within the 2-year span or whatever. But you got 2 years. That's why he said, whoso readeth, let him understand. Because if you understand this, you would understand how to move. The same way we looking at the world today. How sister bring out what they doing with the currency and how they getting rid of cash money. No coins, no dollars and everything. And what is about to lead to? Well, this is a head start. It's a head start to what? Get prepared. So let's get prepared. Let's keep going out.
Verse 17.
It's going to be the last chapter, by the way. We're going to end it here.
Verse 17, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever be.
So, ask your Christian friends, if the Messiah did away with the Sabbath and he's prophesying about something to happen after him, why is he saying pray that it don't be on the Sabbath?
Exactly.
Or in the winter? Because he expects you to still be keeping the Sabbath. You expect not to have to, you don't want to travel in the winter time. It's all cold. You ain't got no cars with, you just hit the heat button and it could be 80 degrees if you want it to be.
Right.
Nope, you walking. Man. You want them sandals.
Man, you got the Moses boots on.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Nah, I was gonna say on the account in Maccabees where these particular Macedonians will come in and kill off the Israelites on the Sabbath until Maccabees and them rose up like, look, we got to fight back.
Exactly.
Because they understand that on the Sabbath we rest.
Exactly.
So it was an opportunity to kill off our people, but Maccabees was like, nah, we got to fight.
Right.
And we're not going to break the law while doing it. Like,
Exactly.
we're just saving our lives. So it's a beautiful highlight right here.
Because what's funny is at first, like you said, they wasn't even fighting back because it was the Sabbath day.
Right.
They didn't even fight back at first. Then they realized, like, man, these fools are wicked. They're going to keep coming every week.
Right.
And start killing us. So we started fighting back. So, yep. All right, let's go ahead. Where we left off.
Verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. There, if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall
man
arise.
shall say unto you, here he is, do not believe it. This is not for y'all in this room. This is for people that's going to watch us on YouTube and Facebook Live, whether today or in the future, because they're believing people that say they're the Messiah. Keep going.
verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, there is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Verse 25, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning come out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
He just told you how he gonna come. Right. He's coming out the sky just as the lightning shines from the east to the west. You can't miss that. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Right? Everybody gonna see him come back in his glory. There's no confusing him and how he gonna come versus these other people saying they're the Messiah. No confusion.
And you know how fast that's gonna be too?
Okay.
Fast.
Like a thief in the night. Go ahead.
Verse 28, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation.
Hey, hold on, my bad. Do anybody get verse 28? Okay, so I'll just speed through it and let me know if you see the same when we break. But it says, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. He's using idiomatic language, saying, just like how you will see the Son of Man, you're going to see the flock flocking to him as an eagle will flock to the carcass. It's pretty much like that. Go ahead.
Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Now, what would we precept as in the so-called Tanakh, in the so-called Old Testament? What would our precept verse 30? Look what it says. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with great power and glory. Well, I'm talking about in the so-called Old Testament. But never mind, forget it. We're going to skip it. Let's keep going. Verse 31.
Verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds.
Okay, hold on, wait. Let me back up. She said, tell us. Who said that? No, I said, tell us. All right, check it out.
What, verse 30?
Yeah, verse 30. So check it out. Y'all familiar with Daniel chapter 7, right? Exactly.
I said Daniel too.
So you got it. Yep, Daniel chapter 7. Because look what it says here. Verse 30 says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and glory, right? Talking about the Son of Man coming in heaven with power and glory. When we go to Daniel chapter 7, around the 13th and 14th verse, it says the Son of Man came to the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days gave him a kingdom, power, and glory that all nations and people should serve him. It's the same thing. Saying the exact same thing. So I just, you know what I mean, as we was reading it,
that's right on
these
point.
precepts to come to your mind. But let's keep going. 32.
Verse 31.
Okay, 31.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise, when ye see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors.
See all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Everybody pay attention. It's the last chapter we're going to read in this lesson. But these verses we about to read, put yourself in these verses. The scriptures is a mirror. Put yourself in these verses. Go ahead.
Verse 34. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
They knew nothing until the flood came and took them away. He said, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. They was just chilling like everything was good, and the flood came and took them all away after Noah had been warning them for 150 years. Don't let that be you, right? Because the word is going out every single week, every single day. Somebody putting the real word out, and the people is ignoring it, and they ain't gonna know nothing until destruction comes. So don't let that be you. They're not gonna know nothing until destruction comes. But look at this: the flood came and did what? And took them away. So I need y'all to break down these next few verses. Watch this. Go ahead.
Verse 40. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left.
Two shall be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. Go ahead. Next verse.
Verse 41. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left.
Sister Naya, you listening? Yes, sir. I need you to break down to us, what do you get from verse 40 and 41 when it says, then shall two be in the field, one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. Remember, this is the time of the Messiah's second return. He says one woman shall be taken and the other left. My question to you will be, if you alive at that time, do you want to be one of the women that's taken, or do you want to be one of the women that's left? You want to be left. Absolutely. And why do you want to be left? And why wouldn't you want to be taken?
I don't want to be taken because I want to live. I want my soul, how can I put this?
So those that are taken are going where?
I want to make it to the kingdom.
Gotcha.
Those who are taken aren't going to the kingdom.
Gotcha. And those that left is left to do what?
They're left here to rule.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Absolutely. Hallelujah. You did a great job. Let's go. Let's keep going out. Because Christianity has told our people the opposite, right? Christianity have read that verse 100 times and said they want to be taken, right? But that's the reason why he compared it to the days of Noah. He said, as it was in the days of Noah, they didn't know until the flood came and took them away. The taking away indicates you going to destruction. And you can see the same thing in the 25th chapter. Right? So let's keep going.
Verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your master doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would have not suffered his house to be broken up or broken in. Therefore, be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh.
In the hour that you think not, he's coming. You be like, hey, we getting ready for, you ain't been keeping the commandments for years. You like,
sneak up on you like, bruh, man.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. And you just getting ready to do something you into, excited, whatever. You like, I'm about to go do this and that, and then boom. That's how it's gonna be. Then boom, he there. Now it's judgment time. Let's go out.
45.
Verse 45. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his master hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his master, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my master delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the master of that servant shall come a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he is not aware of. Verse 51, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
So out of this whole chapter, what I want everybody to get individually, that you're going to do, endure to the end. Because remember, this servant, he didn't endure to the end. He was a part of the servanthood, but he ain't coming for a while. I'm about to go live my life. I'm about to go do Wiggly. I'm about to do whatever. And in his mind, he probably like, I'll get back on it later. I'm gonna get back on my path before he come back.
Right.
Nope, he gonna come at the day that you least expect.
I thought I told you to fold these clothes.
That's what's gonna happen. All right, y'all. So that's what I got for today. That's the lesson for today. We just dealing with some
hallelujah.
Some some end time scriptures, things like that, end time prophecy. So quickly, do we have any questions or comments that we could take before we go into praise and worship? You have one? Give my man the mic. He got a question.
My question is,
broke it all down, like all the end time period in one walk.
okay. How can a person deal with loss of a loved one? How are you supposed to worship and serve Him while dealing with all the griefs of pain
I got you.
and times?
It's a good question, bro. So the Most High, in our law, in our culture, the Most High gives us 30 days. And it's not that you folks forget them after 30 days or anything like that, but it's a 30-day time period when you lose someone that you love, a grieving time period for 30 days. During that time, everybody is different. Some people don't want nobody around them during that time. They want to sit by themselves and really just remember. Some people want as many people as possible to come to my house and help me, console me, make a meal for me. We got to be a family and do whatever is needed, right? So that's part of what you do. But knowing already that hopefully that person was walking in the ways of the Most High and their spirit is just at rest until the Most High resurrect them. You know what I mean? And I like to just remember all the good times that I had with the person. Look at pictures, whatever you do. Have a support system. Some people need somebody to talk to, whether a counselor or whatever the case may be. But you always, no matter what, you pray to the Almighty about everything. Where I told y'all before this lesson, if you keeping these commandments, the Almighty is more than just some faraway Elohim in the heavens to you. The Almighty is a near friend unto you if you keeping these commandments. So you speak to the Almighty as a friend, a father, Elohim, everything. Because the Almighty is everything unto us. He can help with the pain. He can help with the getting through everything. Because we all know, we humans, we wasn't created like the celestial beings. We was created to where you got a chance, but you got a chance that you could die as well. They was created eternally. So we know that death is always on the table when you're dealing with human flesh. Death is always on the table. Any one of us could die any given day. But those that are live for the Most High is going to be resurrected to eternal life. And that's the important part over this. That's the big picture. So that would be my advice. Anything else, y'all? Go ahead.
So with today's lesson, it just hit me with like even how we were earlier, we were speaking about our children and for them to be aware and all of these type of things. And then for us as parents, as a word to our children, it's like, to listen to your fathers, listen to your mothers, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then our children are at a state sometimes because of what they have surrounding them, mm-hmm. that they tend to look at us like we don't know what we're talking about, right. As if we didn't come from where y'all going. Exactly. And it's like, my thing to them is think about, just like how we just read here, that if he comes in like a thief in the night, and he's unaware, and you out here doing whatever you choose to do, mm-hmm. Think about it just right now. Like if you were to be abducted, right. You would immediately be thinking like, why didn't I adhere to the words of my parents? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like exactly. You would be faced with certain situations, whether they prostitute you out, right. Whether they take your organs or whatnot, whatever situation. You're not in the comfort of your own home. Exactly. Yeah. And even for the adults, just looking at this, I remember a time when, man, I thought the Most High had came back. Right. I was 13 years old. I went to the show to see Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. I got back home. I think I was around that age, and everybody was gone. It was snowing. I'm knocking on the door, and I'm like,
you thought the rapture happened.
I thought
Right.
I thought it was lit.
Right.
I'm sitting in the car. One of the cars was in the driveway. I'm sitting in the car, and I'm thinking like, what is going on? So I get out the car. I go out to the street. I live right on the corner, right by the high school, and I'm like, expressway right there. And I'm like, I don't see no cars.
Yeah.
It's like that Arby's commercial.
Right.
Like, where is everybody?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so I go back to the car, and I'm just thinking, and I'm looking at my life, and I'm like, why am I still here? Right. My sister was the one that was pregnant. Where's she at? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, I'm like, so, but the whole time, I'm sitting there like, I missed it.
Yeah.
So that was a reality
Right.
check. Like these young people, and even for the adults, you don't realize the wisdom that your parents is giving you. And then once you get in that mess that you in, and now you like, oh, I should have listened to them. If I'd have did what they said, do. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't always be foolish enough to think that you're going to have to walk your own path and I'm going to do my own thing. And then when you get bumped on the head, now it's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
So we need to look at our life and see where we are right now. And am I going to be ready?
Right.
Am I already fixated on for y'all live and for y'all going to die?
Exactly.
If you don't have that in your mindset already, you already missed the boat. You're gonna be sitting out there like the Arby's commercial, like, where is everybody? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
Hey.
Yep.
And a lot of to what you're saying, Knock, is sometimes it's hard for our own children or even us to appreciate what our parents is telling us. You know what I mean? So we fall into what me and Bach was talking about. Generational behavior leads to curses and stuff like that. We know we got generational curses, but the generational behavior can sometimes cause you and your children to lead themselves out of the picture. So I see it like, what's one of the promises that we got from the Almighty? Honor your mother and your father, that your days may be long upon the land that he giveth thee. So it didn't put a specific timeline on it, but as long as we have our parents, you got to be adherent to the righteous things that your parents are saying. No matter how old you are, you can be 40, 50. As long as you got your parents here, you got to be adherent to what they're telling you. Or you're going to be like that fellow servant. When the master comes, you're going to be over here like Doc said, wishing, hoping that you would have listened. So that's good, though.
Yep. So check it out. Just to land back on top of it, I like where you went because that's the scripture I thought about going to, too. So some commandments come with a promise or a curse, right? The Sabbath day says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, right? So it comes with a remember because everybody seems to forget it. But the one about your parents comes with, honor your father and your mother, that your days will be long upon the land. So that comes with extending your life. You can eat healthy all you want. But if you are disrespecting your parents, your life is going to be short, right? How many people go against their parents and their life is short? Most of them, if they continue to do it, they ended up dead. Because why? They went to the very corner, messing with the very people that their parents told them not to mess with. Now they got shot and they dead. Or they went and did whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and now by not honoring your parents and listening to them, that's the reason why your life is short. And that's just in the physical, and the Most High will allow it to happen. Even in the spiritual, everything we do in the physical, it has a spiritual ramification as well. The Almighty will shorten your life just because you disrespect your parents on a consistent basis all the time. Even in our law, when we was in our own land, we was governing all people as a nation. We had a law to say, if you got a disrespectful child and they keep going, now don't take it like one time and this and that. It's over a process of time and over, you disrespect, you're never doing this and that. We were supposed to get rid of all this and that. They be gone as to put evil away from Israel. We had a totally righteous nation. But what happens is this. It wouldn't have been that much killing because all they got to see is one of them. And guess what? The rest of them going to straighten up. Except it's going to be a couple of them that's like really, really crazy. They going to go. But for the most part, 99% of them go straighten up. You know what I mean? We bring back them 40 lashes and everything that our people had. They straightened up. So, anything else, y'all? That's it? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? All right, cool. Let's go ahead and transition. We're not even gonna take a break, but I know it's gonna take a few minutes for us to transition. We're gonna go into praise and worship. So we're gonna move the camera over, do what we gotta do, and sing praises to the Most High. Hallelujah.
Yeah, man.
Katrina. We let the song cry cause it sound better when she singing, yeah. Well, all right. We let the song cry cause it sound better when she singing, yeah. I like that. We let the song cry cause it sound better when she singing, yeah. That boy just went off the top. The morsel. Volume 1. I'm out. We let the song cry.
Crazy. We sat here in this world almost our whole life, and we still scattered around. When we gonna start working together for a change? I mean, come on.
Started out Kodesh, ended up Israelnoww. I'm in the building, somebody get them a coat check. Knock on my front door, I opened up too many times. Couldn't settle the differences at the doorstep. What's wrong with working things out? Both flex, yeah, I be at his enemy's neck and at your throat next. We was once rolling, shine when we took the risk. All the ministry trips are gone with the ticks. Reaching out to my people like an extremity. I know the angels recording like documentaries. Think of the homes that was broken from your assembly. Wounds can't be healed with natural remedies. If they was wrong in your sight or had some bad news, you never hesitated to address those. Now I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's the way you did them. We all slack, shirt ties and dress shoes. Hey, how can two walk together except they be agreed? Rocky relationship, and I'm Apollo Creed. Stay in your lane, Clever, aka Mr. T. I move like chess players operating in peace. If y'all in this house, show the people then. Show all this discourse shown, I don't connect with them. Cause how can you have light without the power source? I'd rather follow Mashiach right to the inner court. We put the ball in your hands, you didn't take the court. Guess you ain't want nobody to see you was falling short. We would have held you up, we didn't have a choice. Hey, yeah. See, that's what happened when assemblies feud and there's differences on this side and differences on this side. But we know Yahuwah Akkad, which means united. And that's just what we gotta do. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you, but don't let them go astray.
Shout out Benaya and them. You my brother, my kin. Some people want you to lose, some people want you to win. I see Mac over there with the shiniest grin. Whole lot of love in your heart, and now you actually acting like a bunch of riotous men. You ashamed me, your father. Proverbs 28, I'm not comparing with them. Whole lot of self-righteous men, whole lot of backbiting men. Feeling like Cain and Abel, Jacob, Esau, the twins. Bereshit 13, I'm talking like Abraham. See how they hash things out, so ain't no strife in the land. Father, Yah, can you make it right in your plans? Mother, why draw nigh and put your spirit within? Supposed to be joining hands, and now we segregated. This assembly feud, look at the games we playing. Always giving benefit of the doubt. Who benefits when you doubt the adversary? Yeah, I'm talking Satan. Look, I'd rather chop it down with my enemies than let a sword in Zion come and separate the chosen seed. This bananas if it split, then it was meant to be. Hey man, shout out to every single Hebrew that I done had.
2 hours, right? So we about to go ahead and just send a few songs up as a congregation. And
Let's get it, y'all. It's good to see y'all today. Okay.
They can see my Twitter. Let's get it.
2, 3, 4.
Let's go, y'all. So you are good. Hallelujah. You are good.
2, 3, 4.
You are good. Hallelujah. You are good. You are good. Hallelujah. You are good.
Full band. 2, 3, 4.
You are good. Hallelujah. You are good. 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 All the years that you kept us, Yahweh. The marriages that have been established within Israel for a few years. You are so worthy. Hallelujah. Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Hallelujah. You are good. You are good. Hallelujah. You are good. You are good. Hallelujah. Touch you. You are good. Yeah. You already know, but we don't know praise you anyway. You are good. You are Hallelujah. 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 You are good.
To download, please read the information in the description box below.
Hallelujah. I like to celebrate on today. Hallelujah. Hey, it feels good, Johnny. Hey, hey, it feels good, Johnny. Hey, hey, come on, come and praise him. Praise him. Come and praise him. Say, help me, help me, help me, help me, praise him. Say, help me, help me, help me, help me, praise him. You love is not just a song. Say, come and praise him. Come and praise him. Come and praise him. Say, help me, help me, help me, help me, praise him. Help me, praise him. Help me, help me, help me, help me, praise him. Come and praise him. Come and praise him. Come and praise him. Come and praise him. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's motivation, right? Not only in our own individual lives, but even in covenant. Like even when it's down and we in the valleys, the high times, all of that, to stay focused and to keep going, right? Oh, that was faint. Was that what that was?
I got some.
I don't know right now. It's hard for me. I don't know. But anyway. Y'all can wake up now, I promise. Hey. You know it's time I'm on. Walking with the most out of the alcohol. Putting on this living water because I didn't see the drop of hope. Churches have the pictures that we got the phone. Walk to pillars. When you leave the top of growth. Try to tell me where your people, you don't get it, but now you won't. Let that pass rock through the sleep. And you down the road. Meanwhile, I'm walking with my king and my king. You watching over my six like GD. The Jason TVs, they won't teach you grace. It works without faith and vice versa. That's when I throw these verses in their face. I start with curses. But I did my face in their service. Then I give them the blessings. Just to like the word. Realize you the last by the me that was supposed to guide you. We can manipulate by the guys who supposed to take you to life. You had you all the way. You weak, look all the way. You weak, look all the day. So keep your eyes stay down, stay home. They gon' try to run you out tonight, but don't fall. Living for the day, we ain't worried about tomorrow. Talking about options, now you gotta keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. Just keep going. Keep going. Stop without an option, now you gotta keep going. Say there's a war going on outside. I'm here to think of everything I say, prove it in scripture, but they not listening. Niggas out in grace, I'm talking salvation. It's a difference, but they've been unconscious so long that they're having the distance. Once you souls in truth, it ain't no more ignorance. Every move you make in the ladder, affect your innocence. Walking out to your place, be obedient to your innocence. That's the who I move into you. I keep you out your nation, but sinfully. I will give you up, head down, cause I'm observing it. I am more than worthy, and he's still picking me up. But she got off the earth perfect, and they still hitting up. The ones that deserve it. When he said I'm tripping, she called my head after turning. She asked me was I virgin, I said, nah, we the Israelites. Then I brought these scriptures like trying to pick up. I want my point is taking it high, they down, stay home. They were trying to run you out, so they don't fall. Living for the day, we ain't worried about tomorrow. Stopping out of action, I just gotta keep on. Keep going, keep going, don't stop, keep going, just keep going, keep going. Stopping out of action, I just gotta keep going. Hey, like that. Understand until you start reading the script. Bloodline running deeper than a deep tip. Describe his name, I know it. He never came down to apology. An intellectual slave on the boat. Scholarship, I should be sticking into the colleges. We the people so astonishing. Now I'ma let my walk shine through polishing. Whatever happened to the man in the household, probably feminine to the white police shooters, probably innocent. Darkness gets overthrown. Watch my circle right like the phone flow. While that the world in, I've been in the world in. Shades on, looking you live in the world. Pray your living water keep going. You are application needs an opportunity. Yeah, I stay down, stay home. They gonna try to run you out your name, don't come. Living for the day when you worry about tomorrow. It's not the night house, you gotta keep going.
So keep going, keep going, don't stop, keep going, just keep going, keep going. It's all out of us, you gotta keep going. So keep going, don't stop, keep going, just keep going, keep going. It's not out of option, y'all. You gotta keep going.
Hallelujah.
Man, my nephew was 10 for that. You ain't see Zebby though, right? He was 10. Well, that's one thing. What's the 2 or 3 so I can pull them up? I'm just trying to pull them up. That's why I asked. Working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Battles in my life, but I'm never tripping. I rely on yeah, so I'm never slipping. Walking into me, and I intend to use it. For real about my walk, boy, and don't abuse it. First I look for stuff, then I close my eyes. Let my faith, yes sir. And let the scriptures fly. Loving the fire and the power of the tongue. So we overcome faith. See I operate. In impeccable faith, and if that demon too strong, I lay prostrate. Hallelujah! In the spirit, like my eyes blue, His blood covers all. Not to turn body, so no matter the trial, it's never too much. Caliber V12, I am for tough. Mud gang, fly middle, yeah, we in the streets. We do what they have alone. Yeah, I face trials, ain't none of them stopping me. Things go wrong when I'm doing what I should. I put them on that payroll, and now they working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good, working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Man, I'm so exhausted, I almost lost it. Waiting for my breakthrough, feel like it's stalling. Jericho ain't even failed yet. Child of the king, but I'm feeling like a house guest. Problems a mile high. I ain't talking Denver, having a Joe moment. Yeah, I'm being considered. So even when he slay, my rules they run deep, and I'm even when I sway. Kangaroo eating, body getting attacked. Faith in the fire, joy got hijacked. I tell him, Trevor, take a picture. Kodak, and watch me get my 4-5 on. First I repent, your boy self-check, heart transplant, gotta fix the defect. Then I reflect, what else? And I reconnect, like a resurrect. What else? I'm the architect, yeah, I got problems, I don't let them bother me. Yeah, I face trials, ain't no ever stopping me. Things go wrong when I'm doing what I should. I put them on that payroll, and now they're working for my good. I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for my good. Everything I'm going through is working for my good. Working for my good, working for you going through is working for your good. Working for your good, working for your good. It's working for your good, working for your good, working for your good. Yeah, it's working for your good, working for your good, working for your good. It's working for your good, working for your good, working for your good. It's working for your good, working for your good, working for your good. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 yeah. All the steam to your hour.
And I ask you for your forgiveness. Forgive me for my sins, known and unknown. Cleanse me with your word and make me strong. Turn me from my old ways and make me new. I repent, I repent, I repent. I repent. And I ask you for your forgiveness. Forgive me for my sins, known and unknown. Cleanse me with your word and make me strong. Turn me from my old ways and make me new. I repent, I repent, I repent. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Refine me in the depths of me. Renew my mind and my heart and my spirit. You refine me, refine me. Renew my mind, my heart, and my spirit. Everything I do, you are more about it. I do,
Amen. Hallelujah, hallelujah. So wonderful, so powerful. Hallelujah. So wonderful, so powerful. Alpha and Omega. Blessed are you, Yahweh, Yahweh. Blessed are you. Hallelujah, let it go. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So wonderful, so powerful. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So wonderful. Run it back. Let it go. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, Yahweh of Israel.
Y'all, y'all think y'all slick. Y'all want that gospel track. Look at more y'all. You want to be in the house cleaning it up. Okay, so that was the last one.
Y'all want music? They heard the request the first time. They ignored them. Yeah, right. Okay. Hey. Maria.
Come on now, y'all.
Maria. Yasharon. All right, y'all. Y'all know if you stand up here, we gotta do our church. Come on, if we sing this, y'all gotta do the rock. Your name is God. You are my Elohim. That's why I lift my hands to praise your name. You are my King. Your name is God. You are my Elohim. That's why I lift my hands to praise your name. You are my King. Let's praise him again. 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 Hallelujah! 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 Yeah, you are my Elohim. That's why I lift my hands to praise your name. You are my King. Your name is God. You are my Elohim. That's why I lift my hands to praise your name. You are my King. Let's praise him again. Let's praise him again. Let's praise him again. Let's praise him again. Let's praise him again.
What? Hallelujah!
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 Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Yeah, you are my Elohim. That's why I live.
What's his name?
What? You are my
Hey, that's right.
what?
What?
Let's praise him.
Hey, praise him again.
Let's praise him.
Hey, let's praise him again.
Let's praise him.
Hey, let's praise him again. Hallelujah!
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 Come on, y'all, celebrate 23 years. 23 years, y'all. Hallelujah! Joseph, where you at? Keziah, where you at? Hey! 23 and counting, y'all.
You are my Elohim.
That's why I lift my hands to praise your name. You are my king. Your name is Yah. You are my Elohim. That's why I lift my hands to praise your name. You are my king.
Let's praise him again.
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 They know some. They know some. Hallelujah. They know some. Okay. All right, everybody. Give it up for RDI and the Humble. 23 years, y'all. 23 years, y'all. I was listening to y'all. This was requested too.
Fall down for your please. Fall down, your please. Let it fall down for your please. Sometimes it's all better than rain that gently touches my soul. It was a fire that burns in us. We simply lose control. Don't just break down, yeah, please. Let your love fall like rain, just rain. Yeah, please. Just rain down, yeah, please. Let your love shower us, just rain. Yeah, please. Sometimes it's all that amazing rain that gently touches our soul. It cools the fire that burns in us, and we simply lose control. So just rain down, yeah, please. Let your love fall like rain, just rain, yeah, please. Just rain down, yeah, please. Let your love shower us, just rain, yeah, please.
Rain, rain, please. Rain, rain, please. Rain, rain, please. Rain, rain,
Rain down, yeah, please. We need it. Rain down, yeah, please. We need it. Rain down, yeah, please. We need
Hallelujah. Good. Okay. Hey, just let me know. It's okay. Oh, we'll say that one. Cool. On that note, y'all settled. Okay. We got any announcements, Moray?
Yeah, we got.
Okay.
Yeah, out to the listening audience, thanks for joining us. Join us again every Saturday, same time. Israelnoww on YouTube. Israelnoww Cincinnati. Shalom, shalom.